Good evening, campers, and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. We're not that late. We're only a little late. So that's not so bad. I'd call it a win. Greetings, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good night. We've got with us tonight Six. How you doing?
I'm eating. Do me last.
Do you last? Well, I don't want to do these guys at all. I'll just say that much. But Clobber in Times is here as well. How you doing, Clobby?
I'm doing great. Great to see you and the wonderful Six and our friends here. Tom, appreciate you. CC, good to see you, and wonderful chat.
Yes, we also have
Great
CC Karaoke here as well. How you doing?
Good to see you too, Clobby. I'm doing all right. I mean, an embarrassment of riches here. My theme park is the ski mountains, and I got two of them. And one of them closes on Sunday, which is always a thing. They want to get it ready for mountain biking season. So they have to close one of them. And we just got like 3 feet of fresh powder snow, and we're getting a couple more feet this weekend. And it's like that mountain's going to be sitting there closed with all. It's 81
degrees here.
I'm like, oh.
81 in April. I can't remember the last time it was 81 in Wisconsin in April. But anyway, also joining us again is Six. And I know how she feels because this always happens to me. Like, we're sitting there and be like, nobody's saying nothing to me. I'm going to eat something. And then as soon as I get something in my mouth, they're like, hey, Tom, what do you think about this? Well,
we've all been there, right?
I know. And then I'm shoveling it down as fast as I can so I can participate in the panel.
Don't do that. You'll give yourself a stomach ache. But take your time.
Yeah. No, I'm doing very well. It's beautiful weather outside. It's like 70 degrees.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Spring is here. I'm doing really well.
Yeah, Kev L says someone stole my membership. Are you sure you didn't have a membership on the main channel? See, that's something that confuses folks sometimes. Yes. This is two separate channels, but when we do the member stream, we make sure both channels are involved, which we are going to be doing one soon. In fact, I gotta kick Andre into gear, be like, hey, we got to do something for the 2-year anniversary thing. We got a lot of members who are hitting their 2-year anniversaries. Oh, he's just kidding. Okay. I just wanted to let you know because sometimes that's the case, but yes. Anyway, good afternoon, evening, whatever it is where you is. We got some regulars in the chat. I see Daryl Brewer. I see Hamdinger is here. Sassy's here. We got FKHC 2005. Doug 1985. Dearest is here. Who else we got? David Glenn is here. We've got SXHBK. You guys got to do these letters, and it's always hard for me. It's like I'm dyslexic, but I'm not. Shafir is here. PLY is here. Let's see. We got 11 Alpha, Juxtapose. Good evening. We got Spaceship Vampire, Leslie Tarkin, Samurai Vader. So many more. Hit that like button. I see Tiger Valley. Mecha J is here. Welcome, guys. Hit the like button. Share the stream out. Keith Howard. Professor ATN is here. Pete Dencat. Duck Nation. So many regulars. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, we got E-Clay sending us some poop.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Snow Dub's in the house. How you doing, Snow? Let's see. I'll send you a link if you're not busy. We don't have like pressing huge topics today. It's been kind of a slow news day. I mean, it's more or less been one of those weeks where it's like, let's just keep kicking Disney while they're down, which I have no problems with.
Yeah, good. Keep it up. Boo-hoo Disney. Yeah,
right. But we've been hard at work in the background on a couple of one video turned into 2 videos. That was a problem. Why can't I find Snow Dub here?
Well, on Twitter, I
hate this.
He got booted.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
He's shit. Snow Dub 2 now.
I don't know how the hell
now.
Snow Dub 2? Yeah, go for it if you can. Yeah, because I don't think I have the new Snow Dub one. Shit. I hate that when that happens because I never know how to get a hold of anybody. I can't find anybody on Twitter as it is.
Twitter just showed he popped up on mine. His part 2 there.
So, I don't know. Every time I try doing a search, I can never find nothing.
Snowdub, I have no connectivity to Twitter, so maybe I got booted too. Snowdub, send Tom a DM so he can find you.
Or maybe it's because neither one of us are following him or something. Yeah.
It's in the chat at Jolly Puppy 20.
Oh, that would do it. Okay, Jolly. What is it, Jolly Pup?
Puppe.
Yeah, the T is silent.
208, and it's invisible. 20868.
I found him. Hey, now I'm following him. There we go. Boom. And then I think I just sent him the wrong link. I did. I just sent him the stream link, like the YouTube link. Like, I don't think that's going to help him much.
I've done that.
That's kind of a dick tease, yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. The show comes to a dead fucking halt.
So we're going to talk about streaming wars, I guess. This is what Tom wanted to talk about. Just for the record, I wanted to talk about Max.
We are going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Because that's involved in this.
Okay.
So it's all kind of culmination. But yeah, that's going to be the main topic when we get to it here. But there's some other news too to talk about. But has anybody been keeping up with any of the new shows? I want to give anybody a chance. I don't know if anybody's been watching Mandalorian or...
yeah, I've been watching it.
No, I watched the first episode of Mando season 3, and I haven't touched it since. I watched Star Trek with my dad instead, and then I saw Terry make a tweet about how much he supported the Rey movie, and now I'm having a hard time continuing with Star Trek because that really just put me off. I mean, I will finish it, but I haven't caught up.
Don't worry, it's not really Star Trek anyway. It's nostalgia.
Yeah,
Trek.
well.
So yeah, but what did you feel about the last episode of Picard, CC? Because I know some people are talking about that. I haven't seen any.
That's what I was saying. I actually haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
after
okay, gotcha.
I got caught up in Star Wars Celebration, and I saw Terry make a tweet that he said, "Hey, that new Rey movie is a great idea," and I think he was being serious, and that just kind of set me off a little bit, and I was like, okay, I need some time. So I haven't watched the most recent episode of Picard yet.
And I'm surprised 6 is behind on Mando, but yeah.
Well, so I heard about Lizzo and Jack Black before I saw the episode, and so I kind of been putting it off, and I can't watch this week's episode until I watch last week's episode. So,
that'd do it.
I'll get there because I've been enjoying it.
That would do it. Okay, This is weird. They added a new thing. Did you see this, 6? They added a new thing here. We got starred and we've got super chats. So we have two separate sections now.
Oh, that's a new thing. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Did they actually make it easier for you?
I've never seen that. Wasn't on last night. That's brand new.
No, they made it harder because now Wait.
I wonder now, don't star the next couple super chats and see if they just show up in the super chat thing.
Weird.
Chat has no idea what we're talking about. And
that wasn't last night.
Yeah. I know. This is like, we're just like, oh, new toy.
Brand new.
Well, StreamYard's had all the toys lately.
Yeah, this is brand new. I like it.
I wonder if that's what it's doing. If it'll catch all the super chats, but now the member chats and other chats will go into.
I don't know. Do you have any super chats yet?
We have, but we weren't paying attention before this.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I didn't see that. Oh my goodness.
I have never seen that before till now.
On my salad.
You have some super chats.
Hopefully, it's a good salad. Yes, and speaking of, let's get started on those. We've got Rebel Dragon, who's been a member for 2 months at the maximum member puppy level. It says howdy panel. Well, howdy. So do you guys think, yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
That's a howdy. Think that Jon Favreau is going to DC once he walks. Also, are some people making a big deal about Acolyte, not me? Okay. Do I think Jon Favreau will go to DC if he walks? Maybe. I don't see why he wouldn't do something over there if he was offered something and they were, if it was something he was interested in. As far as the Acolyte thing, why are people making a big deal out of it? I don't know. There's something going on with people not believing the show is actually in production, and I'm not going to get into that discussion. So, what do you guys think about Favreau? Do you think he has a good chance of going to DC if he walks from Lucasfilm?
I think he could if he wanted to. If that was what he wanted to do, I definitely think he could get in there. But I don't know anything about whether he wants to or not.
I don't think he's going to walk.
I think WDW Pro made a good point the other day about when Iger came in to replace JPEG. It was very shortly after that you had Daisy Ridley coming into the offices. He pushed something, whether or not and how much Kathleen Kennedy had to do with it. I can only imagine how many times Favreau has had to rewrite his plan now. And I bet you he probably had to rewrite it again a couple of 3 months ago when Iger came back in and said, hey, we're doing the Daisy Ridley thing. We're going to go after the sequels. We're going to connect it all together. Let's have synergy. Let's have it airing during Celebration. I mean, it's no mistake that sequel trilogy stuff is showing up in Mando right around the time of Celebration and this season in general. Mm-hmm. So I'd imagine he's probably pretty fed up by now.
Six says she don't think so, but
no, I think he's got it made at Lucasfilm.
You do, huh?
Yeah, he probably does. I was just saying, if he wanted to, he could. I have no idea whether
the only thing that's making me question is back in February, he's like, "Oh, this Mando thing could go on forever. I'm enjoying the challenge," and then all of a sudden, it's coming to an end. None of these other shows are happening besides Ahsoka. To me, it's weird.
This is purely speculation on my part, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was there for another 10 years. But I mean, again, like I said, I haven't really watched Mando season 3, but I've paid attention. I've watched clips. I've read synopsis. I got all the spoilers. It really doesn't seem like this is his best work. I'm not sure it is his work.
That's the other thing too. But Six could be right. I mean, just as easily as he could tuck his tail between his legs and walk out, he could just as easily tuck his head down and just keep moving forward with whatever happens. So
yeah, it's certainly not a hill I'm going to die on. It's not like when I said that Avatar 2 was going to be a huge success, and some people poo-pooed that.
Hey,
so. I didn't name you.
Are we going to go there? No,
no. I'm just like, if he, and it's not even that I want him to stay. If he stays, he stays. I don't think he's going to, because I think he has it pretty sweet. But I'm not going to be shocked if he does walk. I'm not going to go.
I'm just reading the tea leaves at this point. I have nothing to go on. I have like no source that came to me and gave me any kind of like scoop or anything like that. I'm just going off of everything I've seen in the past few weeks, past few months, and this sudden shift and change in the wind. And yes, some of it is the quality of Mando and Boba Fett. Don't get me wrong, that plays a factor into it too. But I think just the way he has been in the press compared to what he was, the things he's been saying compared to what he was, I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls like a Marvel thing to where he may not necessarily walk all together, but he won't be as in a creative position as he was before.
But going to Marvel, I feel like would be out of the frying pan into the fire.
DC? Yes, I see what you mean there. But at the same time, James Gunn is somebody he probably knows at least tangentially. And it sounds like James is encouraging his incoming directors and creatives to create and bring their voices to the table, which could work out or not work out at all. But at that point, I mean, if they offer him a DC project, I say, why not? I could see him doing a really cool Batman project, actually.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe bring him in for that Batman deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just speculating here.
I like the guy. I hope, that whatever he does, it works out. And
yeah, that's the thing is I feel like he got thrown under the bus a little bit by Filoni.
Yeah.
It seems like the Disney show was all Filoni.
Yeah.
And these things that all they all correlate, right? Like what CC was saying, like you go back 2 years almost exactly, and a lot of these things all happened at the same time. You had Kathleen Kennedy being pushed back into Lucasfilm. You had Gina Carano basically not getting renewed, or however you want to put it, but publicly being shamed.
Yeah.
You have basically this announcement, but it's like a soft announcement that Filoni's been a new creative director now for a small time. So he's got this new big position at Lucasfilm. And from what I understand, it basically puts him right underneath Kathleen Kennedy. So basically he's Favreau's boss now, from the way I'm taking this. Because Favreau also had a creative director position, but it sure does sound and seem like Filoni is the guy that he has to answer to now, as opposed to the other way around. So it feels like there was a sudden shift. And then, the Rangers show is obviously not going to happen now. I can't remember the other one that they announced. The Skeleton Crew is still happening, but that's almost completely unrelated to Mandalorian, from my understanding, right? That's
I don't think that has anything.
Goonies in space, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to. Probably. I say that, though.
And I mean, once we get past Ahsoka, we get that movie. That's it. I mean, that does not sound like the plan they initially had to me.
No, it's a cannon dumpster fire at this point,
Yeah.
and that's part of the problem. Is it's such a jumbled mess. How do you how can you even untangle it at this point? You can make great shows. People might tune in for that, but there's no way to have just an organized shelf of content in front of you. So
who's that?
This goes here,
Nick Weiser.
Oh,
Nick.
Hey,
Nick, how you doing, buddy? I didn't even see you.
Hey, I was just listening. I was just like, I'll skip back here. You guys
I didn't hear
time.
I didn't even see it. I was
it's all
dealing
good,
with the
man.
panel and...
I was listening. I bet to myself I was
wow.
listening. I was enjoying it. Well, this is
I was starting to wonder though where you were, because you did say you were coming. So
and
you always say you're gonna come.
Oh,
all over the keyboard or what?
Always comes.
It happened. You didn't even know it happened. It actually happened many minutes ago. Believe that. But hello, chat. Hello, panel. Glad to be back. It's been a wild week in my life, and it's also been a wild week in the pop culture world. So, yeah, I'll let you keep it going, Tom.
Yeah, you actually showed up when things have kind of come to a slow. I don't know if I could tell, not like a halt or anything, but like there's a little calm here. So I don't know if it's a calm before a storm or.
Yeah, that's hard to. It's hard to predict because, granted, I've not watched Mando at all. This is just such a wild, like, dumpster fire, as CC Karaoke said, to see play out. Like, everything with this franchise is just going up in flames, and it's kind of funny how the thing that got the best reaction from the clips I saw, thanks to Echo Based Network, shout out to EBN, is when they shouted out for the people working on Andor, and yet that was a show, ironically, at the same time that not many people watch. So that should tell you something when they have the best ovation, and yet many people didn't even watch it.
Were you going to say something, Six?
Yeah, I just wanted to, the second part of that member chat asking about the Acolyte, that the Lucasfilm people who are on social media, who are on Twitter, were heavily pushing the High Republic. The Acolyte TV show is going to take place in the same time period as the High Republic, which has had a bunch of comics and books coming out, which I read the first chapter of one of the books and it was trash. So I don't really have a lot of experience in that. But from what I hear, this is where Geode, the rock, comes from. The Acolyte is going to take place during that same time period. And there has been such a push from the Lucasfilm employees on Twitter for the High Republic. It's like High Republic is going to save our sinking ship. And so I think that is something that Lucasfilm has put a lot of money behind, as far as, or they're going to put a lot of money behind promoting it, because because they put so much behind promoting High Republic. And so the Acolyte just kind of fits right in with that. So that's why I think you're hearing a lot about the Acolyte as far as from Lucasfilm goes.
Well, and I can see that just because it's one of Kay's kind of pet projects of sorts too, and all that kind of stuff.
Her girl Leslie.
Yep. Final Smash 1689 sends in $5. Thank you so much. Says, if the Marbles fails, is it going to be the movie that finally ends the woke? I don't know specifically, but I think we're already going to see a shift. And I've been saying that for a while. It's just going to shift from, this activism crap for one thing into another. It's going to be, environmental stuff next. So but we'll see.
I can see that too. I can.
No, I'm totally not kidding.
Doubling down on the environment.
Because that's where the money's at. Because they realized that the well has dried up when it comes to BLM and trans rights and all that kind of stuff. So now they're moving on to the next well, which is environmental stuff. This is just like it was in the 90s again.
Yeah.
So it'll be all this earth. We already got I saw a preview for the that Duck movie that Illumination's doing. It's the whole movie's plot is about how their seasons are disrupted by the environment. So right there you go. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. These are the kind of stories you're going to start seeing. Is it a trade-off that I would take rather than the woke crap? Probably. I'll rather watch something like Armageddon or the day after tomorrow, than I would a lot of this woke shit any day, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a lesser of two evils kind of thing.
What we got back then was I guess I don't want to say like a tolerable version, but of the environment per se. But I guess it was more bearable. It was bearable.
I liked Waterworld.
Dude, I love Waterworld. It was more bearable, and we did get some really good movies out of it. Whereas the wokeness is like, man, I'm trying to think of like a world where you can write a well done woke thing, and I've heard the Drinker Mo say, maybe it's possible, and I'm not gonna say that they're wrong. I mean, something I'd be open to seeing, but man, every time I see someone, even who's a credible name involved in one of these things, it just doesn't seem to turn up. It doesn't seem to turn up, but hey, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, and one day someone's gonna put out a nuanced version of woke, which or very diametrically opposing terms, but hey, I've been wrong before.
There we go. All right. Well, anybody else have anything to say on the woke business?
Nope.
Stephanie says, good evening. Well, good evening, Stephanie.
Hey,
Thank you for being a member. We got Action Com who says, disappointed that Paint is not the Bob Ross story. Yeah, I've been hearing that it's not exactly what we thought it was, but it's loosely based on him or whatever. So I guess we'll have to see at the end of the day. But I liked the trailer. I thought it looked interesting. So
who's playing him?
Oh, it's Owen Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're making like Bob a jerk or something, or what?
Well, he's not even really technically playing Bob Ross. It's supposed to be loosely based on it or something.
Sort of like a weird.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, 6. You are not obsolete. Stop it.
Yeah, Tom, don't discuss private chat on the stream.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Rude.
No, but I can see where it's going to get confusing now as hell. Holy shit. This is, I don't know, a blessing and a curse. Action Com says, disappointed that Pain is not about. Okay, got this one. All right. See, I'm still fucking up the chats.
Poor Tom.
Final Smash 1689 says, the Mario movie is near 450 in a week. Holy crap. It did that much already. How upset is Iger by this? What does Mario's success mean for Hollywood? It's a good question. I'm sure Iger is upset by this. This is a big, huge kick to the groin for Disney because they have not had a hit animated film since what? Frozen 2?
Yeah, since Frozen 2. That was the last one. And obviously that one had a big opening weekend. And yeah, nothing has come close to that sin, which obviously, to be fair,
we'll never know
what Onward, we'll never know what Onward could have done because it came out 2 weeks before theaters shut down, and the stigma of the fear per se and propaganda was turning people away from going to theater. So it's hard. Obviously, officially, Onward will never know, but Onward was not a bad movie. I did see it at the time when it came out. It was not a bad movie. It was a nice father and son Pixar movie. It was definitely not one of the upper tier movies, but no, it was solid. It got the job done. It was serviceable, but yeah, it really, even in Kanto didn't even do well. I mean, yeah, obviously it's had some advances in terms of cultural movements of being part of Disney on Ice shows, type of stuff like that, but it didn't really make a dent in the box office in Kanto. It really did not. I mean, they were hoping it would do more, but to be fair, they didn't really promote the movie much either. Because I remember I didn't even know about it coming out until after it had come out. Because I remember Paulie was talking about that at the time, say, hey, it seems like this movie should have had a better opening weekend. To be fair, it should have. Because they had the right demographic that they could have gone to. Because a lot of Latinos love bringing families to the movies. And Nintendo
completely killed it today with that new Tears of the Kingdom trailer. Right on the heels of the Marvels trailer. Which, I mean, you have, on the one hand, you have Disney putting out an awful trailer, and then Nintendo just putting out one of the best trailers in a long time. There's everything fan of the game would have wanted to see going on there.
Yeah, and Encanto was the last one I could think of that was remotely close to being a success, but they fucked it up by not advertising it at all, and they damned it to streaming forever, basically. Hey, how you doing there, Johnny?
Hey, good to see everybody. Good to see everybody there in the chat.
Hey,
how you doing today? How do I sound? I got a new microphone, so
you sound good.
A little different, but it sounds good.
Cool. All right. So, what are we talking about?
Right now, we're doing some super chats, and then we're going to get into some discussion about streaming, I believe. We got Daryl Brewer here, who's been here for 20 months. Thank you so much. Ghost Rider's been here for 2 months. Thank you for that. Ben Dowdy's been a member for 4 months. Thank you so much. Phyllis Mallory's been here for 16 months. That is amazing. Thank you so much. Waltman says, sent you an email via email a Times article that interviewed Iger, and I'm not sure how to feel about his response in the article. Let me see if I got this email. Okay, here we go. Bob Iger's Time article. Okay. I got an image here. Let me see here. Bob Iger on Ron DeSantis creativity and the future of Disney. Boy, this is a long one. Was there any specific comments? Because yeah, this would take me a while to read, buddy. Because I think Six actually sent us something on this earlier too.
I did.
I was gonna say, was this the one that we can maybe find the comment about Perlmutter? What is it? Control F. That was, I think, something you keyed in on, right? No, it doesn't have it.
It was from the Collider article, which I also
okay. Andre. So yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, specifically, let me know what you mean in there, Waltman, because this is a long interview. But yeah, maybe we can check that out for morning show tomorrow.
Send me the link and I'll find it.
Yeah, I'm not finding it here. It's a long article. Copy. Boom. So we'll hopefully hop back around to that, Walt, man. Otherwise, just at me in the chat, like specifically what you wanted us to address. That would help. All right, moving on. We got Tim Hayes, who's been here for 18 months. How you doing, Tim?
Hey, Tim.
And then we got Hillis Mallory, who says, I can see Favreau taking over the whole studio once KK leaves. It may seem unlikely, but biding your time and waiting for your turn, yeah. There was a time when it seemed like he had more control and more creative control, I should say, over things. I don't think that... I don't know. I want to believe this, Hillis, and there was a time where I thought he could be the leader of Lucasfilm, or at least the creative leader. I just think that time has passed, but I could be wrong. What do you guys think, Six?
I'm sorry, I was reading the article. What?
Okay, never mind. That's fine.
I'm sorry. Six, did you happen to dress up as a nipple just for me tonight, or?
I didn't have time to put makeup on.
Oh,
for the show.
Oh, on your nipple?
Yeah.
I kind of prefer a naked nipple, to be honest.
So she's telling us all this time we've been staring at her nipple with just makeup on it.
Wow, I feel robbed.
It's like performance art.
Well.
But yeah, no, the question was, can you see Favreau taking over the studio when KK leaves, but just biding his time? Which is kind of what you were saying, Six, in a way. Like he's not going anywhere, basically.
I don't think Favreau's as good at bending over.
I'm sorry,
as
what?
Filoni is.
Hillis says here, he can see Favreau taking over the whole studio once KK leaves. It may seem unlikely, but biding your time and waiting for your turn, yeah. Which I said kind of goes along with what you were saying.
I think Six dipped.
Or she's having some internet issues.
Nipple
that could
dipped.
be. Okay, anyway, so she'll be back if not. But anybody else want to comment on this?
Man, I don't see this ending well, honestly. I mean, I'd like to be wrong, as I'd like to say, but I think KK is there until she either is no longer alive or until she's simply over the damage being so simply done. She's like, oh, I'm over it now. Time to retire. I don't see this company giving it up, because to not only have KK get fired, it would be the closest way of them admitting that, they failed. And Bob Iger also is the one who looks even worse than she does, because he will not let that be his legacy. If he has her get canned, and to be fair, he might be one of the ones keeping her there, because he looks just as bad too as her. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about, is Iger in this, because, when he was initially, running the company, that's when she first, stepped in. And this is the thing that they're trying to remember Star Wars by, as the first insert whatever demographic. And they want that to see so bad that they're willing to die trying, or in this case, kill the company, die trying. So, yeah, I don't see this happening, but hey, maybe I'm wrong.
You are wrong. What I heard was that actually they plan to keep KK around forever. They're going to hook her up to a machine eventually, hook her intravenously through
Joe
tubes.
Biden her.
Yeah, basically, stick a couple prods and rods up her ass and just have her do the same thing she always does, and woke you up.
Come on, man. The Force is female.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Nico Glock says KK forever.
Forever.
That's actually really funny.
I'm just trying to be realistic. That way I don't set myself up for disappointment.
Hey, good idea, Snow Dub. I mean, the thing is, there really is no, you can't really expect them to change. It doesn't make sense. I get the idea of being optimistic and white-pilled and having hope. But as I mentioned last week when I went on my tangent, rather than wait for an abusive spouse to change, you have other opportunities elsewhere. Man, if I had an opportunity to get a hold of a Nintendo 64 right now and play Shadows of the Empire, I'd be all over that. You know why? Because not only was that game phenomenal, I'm sure it would still hold up. And that had a great Star Wars story. And of course, all the books, as we like to talk about. There's still so much great Star Wars. Guys, the past is the future, at least for the most part for me. Despite me looking forward to Mission Impossible and what was that other movie that was coming out soon? My brain blanked. But there's a few that I still try hold out hope for. I think we need John Wick movies. I'm not talking about literally John Wick, but more action movies where it's a straightforward story with something like they killed his dog and now he wants revenge type of thing. We need more of those movies. That way I can cover it on Toxic Tuesday.
There you go. Camelbot Killer says nature fights back. Armored deer attack humans. Oh my. That's Bambi 3. Tendao Kirus. Whoa, what happened here? Oh, 2 of 2. What did I miss? Yeah,
something? It's 2 of 2, so I wanted you to finish.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Camelbot Killer says, I want to see a movie combining the environment and parody. We see humans always superior of animals. I want to see the reverse. No Planet of the Apes. Yeah. I see where you're going there. And then we got Tendu Kiru says, personally, I'd take environmental themes over gender, race, sexuality themes. Far less diverse, divisive, and intrusive. Yes, that's kind of what I'm saying. Lesser of two evils. Is it good? No. But we're used to that already.
Save the whales.
Exactly. Yeah. How many environmental movies did we have from 1990 through 2000 and whatever, right? Every one of them.
Yeah.
We had a couple examples already we brought up. And then 6 sent me a pooper sticker. I think we will accept this poop on behalf of 6 because I think she was testing.
I was testing.
Yards. I knew it. Pinochet's helicopter tour says, I'd like to take credit. She's like a scientist.
Shit.
Al Gore. He's kind of like a scientist too.
I am a scientist.
Lockbox.
Let me tell you about Man Bear Pig. Pinochet's helicopter tour says, I'd like to take credit for warning about. I'm super serial. Okay, why are you laughing?
God, nobody takes me seriously anymore.
Nobody takes me super serial.
Oh, I knew he died when that episode first came out.
Talia's Man Bear Pig. It's half man, half bear, half pig.
That Kurt Russell scene where he's like, they're eating me. They're raping me. They're eating me, and it hurts. I was like, this is so awkward, but so funny.
Anyway, Pino says helicopter tour says, I'd like to take credit for warning y'all about ESG. Tom, you're wrong. They haven't moved on. ESG equals environmental, social, DEIBS, and government and governance bows to the fest. No, I totally get what you're saying, Pinochet. The difference is it's a lot easier to make a story based on that than it is some of this other crap. See, that's the thing, is they're trying to engineer these movies to work for this shit, you know, and it doesn't work for that shit. We've seen all these ESG movies already. It's just going to be more of that kind of crap. Is it good? No, but it's the lesser of two evils. That's what I'm trying to say here. But we'll have to wait and see how bad it gets. Tiger Valley has been a member for 7 months. Thank you so much. Aurora Uplink says, I'd support Favreau if it is what he wants. If that is what he wants. Yeah, well, we'll have to see how it works out here. Final Smash says, I wonder what George thoughts were on the announcements at Celebration. I don't think he gives a shit. I mean, really.
I agree.
He has a Twitter account that I'm not sure if it's the real him or not, but it looks like it might be. And he showed
That's
up.
the problem with Twitter.
He
and
does
I
not have a Twitter.
No, I don't think it's him for real. I could be, but I doubt it. Because, like, I think that's one of the problems that I agree with most people with the Twitter thing now. They have to have something that differentiates the actual people and news sources from everything else. Because it's cool that we all get a verified Twitter thing to, you know, that we're not a bot. Cool, great, that makes sense. But you need like a yellow tag or whatever for corporations and a red tag or something like that for actual celebrities and stuff like that.
George has made a fair few comments at this point about what he thinks of Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. I honestly think he's moved on. I really think he has. I think he has. It's probably healthier. He seems a lot healthier than he used to be too in that respect, that I don't think he's dwelling on it at all.
I always imagined right.
He's having a Mai Tai.
I imagine George like Scrooge McDuck. He's got that vault, you know, it's full of all his gold and cash, and every morning he just takes his robe off and jumps in, you know, off a diving board and swims around.
Like, I am keeping me gold.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see his home movies. I know he's got a fair. He has a few of them, probably piles of them.
I want to see all the earlier cuts of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
There is a version of the movie where it's like 60% of it is shit that was reshot. Because he got back from shooting in Tunisia and he saw a lot of the special effects they'd worked on and they were crap. And he decided to reshoot all the stuff that was rear projection because he didn't like it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I've seen excerpts from it, but I've never seen the whole entire rough cut. Be interesting just to see it in its various stages. But yeah, I think at this point he's more worried about his museum and other things, keeping himself occupied. Like I said, he seems a lot more healthier in his last couple of years than he had been before, when he was clearly upset about the whole situation with the whole white slavers comment and whatnot.
Yeah. And yet he sold them. He sold out.
I mean, I think it says a lot, though, that the only sets he has ever showed up to that we know of were The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's true. He did show up there. So. They must have.
I think he might have been on Obi-Wan, but I can't remember.
They were desperate for him. Obviously, we all saw that infamous photo where he was sitting with Favreau and Filoni. And
the one where he's holding baby Grogu, like, broke the internet.
Yep, and it did. And it did. People really.
It was like grandpa holding a grandbaby. It was like, yeah.
And people thought it was going to turn around. And I'll admit it, myself included, especially after the Luke return. But then, oh boy, did we get fooled in the worst way possible. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of us that are still jaded about what happened to Gina and the Cara Dune character. So I really think that hurt their viewership this year. I do.
I think it's a mixture of all the things. I think that added to it, Snowdub. I get what your point is, but there's still a lot of people like who don't know exactly what happened, and they don't really know like if they feel like bad about it or good about it. They're just very indifferent. But I think that add to. I think it's honestly it's all of the above. I truly believe it's all of the above. It's the diminishing quality, the constant ragging on fandom, and the Gina thing. I think it's all the above. And then obviously the controversy going on in Florida, I think all of it just really, every little thing adds up. into one big thing, and now that big thing is really affecting the company.
Well, one thing I noticed with like the most recent cons and stuff, and this is in comparison of when the Disney trilogy was out, is I saw way more females doing cosplay of the Cara Dune character than I ever saw of the Rey Skywalker character. So, but I could be wrong.
She was exactly
I think it plays
a bit.
Yeah, I think it plays a factor into it. I'm not going to say it's as big a factor as some people would want to believe, but I think it was more like Andre will bring it up, and he's right. It's not so much more so that she was like overtly popular or anything like that, but she was still a pillar going forward. And when you pull that pillar out from underneath this foundation, it just fell apart, right? Because that's what the Rangers was supposed to lead to, was her series and so on and so forth. And we knew they were kind of going in similar directions to where they're headed here, but it just feels like all these other things that were meant to be are now closed off. So I guess if anything, it's like it feels like John is not allowing them to recast the role, probably more than likely. Because it feels like if they had just done that, then we would have just went forward with his initial plan.
I think the other thing to bear in mind here, I was talking to my friend a couple days ago. I was like, hey, they were going to turn the X-Men into the mutants. He had no idea. He told his wife, and his wife was like, what? They're going to turn the X-Men into the mutants? That sucks. That's awful. And she was getting pissed, and they were both getting pissed. And they represent the broader part, the most significant probably percentage of the population who isn't really paying attention to the minor details. Well, I mean, they're major to us because we know what's happening, but the broader communication, the broader population, they find out once it actually hits their front door.
Well, and that's where I say Obi-Wan was like that moment, right? Because there was a lot of people who watched Mandalorian, but a lot of people were like totally geared up for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that got a lot of people's attentions that weren't your nerdy nerds or your, diehard Star Wars fans. And I think that's the moment that they saw it was just not what they thought it was going to be. And something is like, I think you guys are right. They can't always put their finger on it, because I have these conversations with people and they can't always put their finger on what it is. And I have to kind of point them in that direction and say, well, this is kind of why, and this is what I think, and this is what most people think, or some people see as far as the bigger issues overall. And then like, yeah, I can see that. Or it's stupid. Like it's like more recently, I have my best friend that I've had for the longest time, aside from Mikey, obviously, and Six and stuff that we see here on the panel. But like, guy I've known since kindergarten. Yeah, exactly. My right hand. Guy I've known since kindergarten. He's kind of like one of my barometers for some of this stuff, because he's into a lot of stuff, but he doesn't follow the politics so much. Like he'll say things and then I'll tell him why, and he'll be like, yeah, I get it, and that's stupid. He was the guy that I was talking about where he was like all jazzed up on Last of Us. And I'm like, well, you do know where it's going to lead to, right? And he's like, no, I've never played the games. And that's why I was like, okay, he's a perfect barometer for this, because this is why this show's popular, is because there's a lot of people who are watching it who've never played the games, right? They're just watching it because it's a lot like The Walking Dead and shit like that. That's why they're getting into it. And he's all like talking about it and everything. And I'm like, yeah, well, in the second game, this is what happens to Abby, or Abby does this to what's his face and all that kind of crap. And he's like, well, that's fucking stupid. And he's like, why would they do that? I'm like, you ask them, kind of thing. And I explained to him the situation, showed him some of the Abby smash crap, and he got really turned off by it. He was like, well, what the fuck? Like,
so is he going to stop watching the show?
I don't know if he did or not. He hasn't brought it up since.
I've watched the first few episodes of Last of Us. I've never played the game. I really enjoyed the show, what I've seen, and whatever's going to happen down the line that's not going to take away from my enjoyment of the
You could be right, but then again, I saw that same thing happen with people with Game of Thrones, right? So it'll be interesting to see, because I think it's going to be a similar thing to Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, because there was also a turning point in The Walking Dead when some things happened there with like a character dying and the whole Negan thing and all that business that kind of changed that show's trajectory.
I'm like Six. I actually never played the games, but I did watch the show. There was 2 episodes in particular I felt that kind of pushed the woke narrative a bit, one more than the other. But all in all, it was enjoyable. Now, I do know, obviously being friends with like Ryan Kennel and those guys, I do know what happens, what as far as the video games go. So as soon as I see that, I'm tuning out. I'll be done. That'll be it. That's probably,
Hasn't what's his face said that's where they're going anyway?
I hope not. I don't understand why they would, since that's their main character. But we'll see.
Well, and actually, now that I got you here, Jolly, I could bring this up because I know nobody else on the panel, not to derail too much. But have you watched any of the season 2 of Chucky?
No, I have not.
Okay, because I watched the first episode, got turned off, came back to it because I got it on Blu-ray now.
Okay.
A few episodes were really, really good because it got away from that crap from the first episode. Because I don't know if you saw the first episode or not, but like I remember explaining to you that like that relationship, they dwelled on it, the gay relationship, they dwelled on it for the whole first episode. It was like, get past this already. Even if it was a straight relationship, I don't give a shit. I don't care about the relationships. I want to see Chucky killing people. That's what I watched this show for. Yep.
I watched part of the first season. We were gonna go over it, I remember, at one point, but I remember watching the first part of the season, and there was I want to say it was a certain episode where they had a dinner table and somebody misgendered somebody, and they had a big old speech about pronouns, and I'm just like, why am I hearing a speech about pronouns in a Chucky show? And at that point, I
remember that part for some reason, but and then the second season got better, and then it really threw me for a tizzy, and I got pissed, and I shut it off because, let's just say Glenn and Glenda come back. You already knew they were setting that up.
Right.
We get to see them in their human form. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Weird.
Because they're both female, basically.
Right.
One is like more of a butch female, and one is more of a traditional female.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, there was a boy and a girl baby. This makes no fucking sense. I would have had no problem if they'd have had it be like the girl was obviously a lesbian and the guy was obviously gay or whatever. I would have no issue with that. That would be fine. But I'm like, wait a minute here. How does this work? And they don't explain it, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I shut it off and I haven't went back to it since. Because I was just like, now you just pissed me off because you're not even paying attention to your own lore and your own history here. Like, and that was one thing I did dig about it, is they were really, outside of the few woke elements there are in there, like they did pay close attention to the lore and the history, and all of it mattered. That was one thing that they did do, but it got to a point now where I'm just curious if you caught up with it or not to derail the conversation.
No, it's all right. The only horror franchise I've seen where they nailed it by taking it from movies to shows was Ash vs. Evil Dead. If you want to find the blueprint for the perfect way to transition, there you go.
E-Clay got it. I want murder puppet porn. That's what I want. That's what I signed up for. That's all I need. That's why I think I adored Megan more than I thought I was going to.
I still gotta watch that. Yeah.
I think you might like it. I was surprised with it. I was much more surprised with it than I thought I'd be. Nico Glock said KK forever. We got that one earlier, but thank you again. Aurora Uplink says, I think Favreau supports Lucas's input in Vision. I'm sure he does. I mean, that's the thing, is Favreau is of that generation where there is a group of directors where you ask them, what made you want to be a director? And this is their story. This is the story of at least 80% of those guys. I was sitting in a theater and I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And all of a sudden, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away came up on the screen, and bomb, ba ba bam, my world changed. And the moment that Star Destroyer came over my head, I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I have heard that story from more directors from his generation than any other story about how directors became directors. No other generation have we ever had it before where one key moment spawned so many people going, that's what I want to do. That moment in cinematic history is probably the most, and to this day, even with the way I kind of look at Star Wars, I will still say, like, if we had moments in history that are like movie moments in history that inspired more filmmakers than any other, that's the one. That's number one on that chart. I mean, you cannot find too many other directors who have so many similar stories to that, right? Sure, you have some. I've seen serials as a kid. I watched this, or I saw that and I wanted to become a filmmaker, this movie, this director, John Ford, this, that, the other. You get a few of those, but never so specific as the one I just told, because you could put so many directors to the story I just told because you've heard it before. And I bet you that Favreau has said that too. I've never actually heard him say that, but I bet you he has, because he comes from that generation. There's a specific generation right there in that age group where it's 99% of them, I swear, maybe 80%, I said before, but like 80 at least, where that's the movie that made them want to be a filmmaker. Some of them maybe Jaws. That's the other 10, 20%.
Yeah, I was wondering when Jaws was coming in there.
Oh, yeah. They're a little older. They're like, yeah, you can have your fucking Star Wars and your baby toys.
Well, I still have my Star Wars
it is.
toys,
It's a defining moment for cinema, right? Like, there's only a few that you could put. Maybe the one right after it would probably be the moment that Dorothy goes from black and white into color in Wizard of Oz. That'd be the second one, I think.
And you got your iconic line too that came from Empire Strikes Back. I am your father. That line.
The only one I would put before that would be "You blew it up." Damn you!
You maniacs! You blew it up.
Right.
That's the only one I would put before that in that category, just as far as the impact it had on, society and filmmakers alone and all that kind of stuff.
An argument could probably be made for Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean,
well, there's moments there, yeah. That's for the newer generations, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, you had, from a special effects implementation standpoint, especially, you certainly had Jurassic Park, but Lord of the Rings definitely did something that nobody thought could be done, and really hasn't been done anywhere near as well since.
Maybe, I mean, there could be an argument made that Lord of the Rings was the last of that kind of filmmaking, because then from here on out, it's all been just carbon copying bullshit. But anyway. Aurora, you got a hell of a $2 worth out of that one. Infinite Wanderer says, scary thing is that with AI face copying and voice modulating tech, they actually could keep KK in position forever. You're not wrong. And Nico Glock says, oh, go ahead.
I used one of those AI apps I wanted to create some artwork of me. So I described myself. Put myself in the text box, and I made the mistake of putting vegan in, and it came up with this artwork where like you could see every bone in my neck and my ribs were showing. And when I would take the word vegan out of it,
maybe it's trying to tell you something. If it works for you, it works for you.
I just thought it was funny, that AI.
No, at least you have a sense of humor about it. That's true.
Yeah, it's free. I recommend download some AI apps, folks, and play around with it.
Mine would look so bad. They'd all come out look like Jabba the Hutt. So, yeah. I would love to see some of Jolly's, though. I bet you they'd come out like some blue studs. It would look interesting. Because the way he would describe himself. That's what I'm saying. The way he would describe himself, it would be like, you know,
right.
like Henry Cavill, but blue.
Oh, yeah. Throwing a little Ron Jeremy in there.
Hairy and blue.
Ron Jeremy's gross. I don't care how big his dick is.
A little Tom Selleck.
And it's veiny. Hey, Tom Selleck's a good looking guy. I can say that much.
He's the only guy that's got a better mustache than me, as far as I'm concerned.
Like, that's the kind of guy that, like, you see him and you go, like, yeah, women probably would find him attractive, obviously.
Well, maybe Sam Elliott. Yeah.
If
Sam
only
Elliott.
we had the Showdown Lil Tokyo clip with Brandon Lee, because we're getting really homoerotic there. You know that clip?
That one. I know the one, but yeah, I can't. I steal clips, but not usually from my close friends.
You steal clips?
Clips.
Oh, this one.
I don't even know how to find the clit according to most people.
Oh, I can find it for you.
Did you read this,
Chef? No, we didn't get to it yet. Nico Glock says, Jolly looking sexy this evening. And I think we're going to do one or two more, and then we're going to get into our main topic here, because we've been going a lot longer than planned. Mr. Buttcrack Media sends us in a pooper sticker, I bet. Thank you for that. Then DCB Titan says another good Star Wars game was Republic Commando. It ended on such a cliffhanger that begged for a sequel. Oh, there you go. Warrior Justice says, knock, knock. Who's there? Not my dad. He went to get cigarettes, huh? Sorry for that. And to get us on the main topic here, thank you so much, Zontar. He says, Streaming Wars was desperate for content, yet no one licensed Daitokai. Did I say that right? Japanese police procedurals are an untapped gold mine. Now you have my interest. Because I catch myself watching police live feed things from their, like traffic stops and shit and chases. Almost as much as puppy and kitty videos. Like, Cops, what that used to be?
I remember watching Cops when I would babysit.
Okay, yeah. It's technically the same thing, only this is shit from the live body cam shit and the car cams. So you get to see it all raw, and, I mean, sometimes they'll blur things out, but, yeah, I get stuck down a rabbit hole some nights. It's like I basically create my own episodes of Cops. Because I also found this one website, or YouTube channel, I mean, that actually has a bunch of videos loaded up from near where I live. So I'm just waiting to find somebody I know. Like, I fucking know that guy. Why is he running from the cops like that? Oh. He did.
Yeah.
I knew him. Anyway, streaming. Yes. I would love to see something like that. That's interesting. Now I've got to look that up. You led me down a rabbit hole for later.
Well, isn't that?
Oh, there's no subtitles.
I think anime.
Damn, there's no subtitles though.
I mean, how much do you really need subtitles?
You got a good point there. Guns are the same in every language.
Yeah.
Car chases are also the same in every language. What'd you say, Six?
Pow pow.
Yeah, pretty much. And vroom vroom boom. Because that's usually how they end. Some idiot thinks, I'm gonna get away from the cops. Guess what? None of them ever do. None of them ever do. They always end up crashing or getting themselves pinned in every time. Okay, so with that, let's finish these two up here that we got, and then we'll get into the main topic. Wolven Weaver says, sadly, I think the damage is done with Star Wars. Yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap that conversation up. Only way to save it is to let it hibernate before doing a clean start. I doubt Disney will do that. No, they clearly won't. I think they signified that this last weekend here. Warrior Justice then says, what do you call him, midget? Who is a cop, a guinea pig, hey, pet.
Is that supposed to be an AI?
I don't know. I get it. Bat Tom, Snow Job, Beautiful Six, Clobber, Nick. Well, he's a pig. He's a cop. He's a midget. He's a guinea pig. Anyway, Little Nicky, a flat emo is called a cutting board. Ouch. That is funny, though. Nothing. I'll super chat $100 if everyone turns on their cameras. I don't think Six will, so there goes $100.
Yeah, really? For $100?
Yeah, but then you'd want the $100. That's the thing. You'd want the $100.
Well, duh. And you only get, how much does YouTube take? What?
They take 30%, I think, 30%, roughly, or more.
$70 for on-camera nipple.
Well, we didn't say that. We just said a camera.
Oh, we have the off-camera one as is.
Get Tom's channel shut down.
Yeah, that's all we need. Well, I'm on camera already. Jolly was already on camera. Nick, we've seen before. Clobby and Six would be the only holdouts, and I would never force anybody to go on camera. So
I don't even have a camera anymore. I have a new computer.
So there you go. The $100 is gone. All Clobby's fault. No.
Right. Believe me, I'm doing you all a favor.
Now you owe me $100, just like Fat Steven owes me $500.
It's worth it.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. You're worth it, and so is Six. So that's all that matters. And with that, we're caught up on the super chats. So yeah, this story came across my table this morning. Six, thank you for being able to translate it through the paywall. says, go back to the future, Netflix, re-embrace content licensing. Well, this is a article that was in the Variety, I think it was, VIP section.
Yeah.
And it's basically, we're going to get into it here a little bit, and I think it's going to spawn a bit of a conversation. It says, with a phase of streaming wars forcing strategic shifts for all combatants, it's time for, I really wish we would have trademarked that, motherfucker. It's time for the original streaming wars. You go back to our early videos, I swear we're the ones who coined that term.
Oh, okay.
Between us and Bill Hunt and those guys, when we had that big conversation about it all, we predicted this shit was going to happen. For all combatants, it's time for original player to reassess another key part of its own strategy. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has spent the past decade and billions of dollars transforming the streamer into an original content factory in order to replace many of the shows and movie studios had licensed to the service. More original Sarandos ordered, the less licensed content he needed to have. But despite the exploitation of... Whoop,
sorry.
That's okay. But just it needs to be a little bigger if you can make it a little bigger.
How do I make it bigger?
That's what he said. I don't know. But despite the explosion of the hit original series, the loss of marquee titles such as Friends, The Office, data provided to VIP plus by Plume Research, at least it's not Parrot Analytics, shows licensed content still made up nearly half of Netflix's U.S. viewing time for series in 2022. Month to month last year, U.S. viewership of Netflix original series ranged from about 47%. Okay, this is just getting into semantics about their viewing, blah, blah, blah. Yet the surge original viewership, blah, blah, blah. Keep going. A handful of titles, primarily driven by a small... Okay. And now those titles are obviously Stranger Things. This analysis is based on titles hours streamed, giving shows with a larger episode counts an advantage. The fact remains that huge quantities of Netflix users' viewing time are being spent on licensed series. ABC's Grey's Anatomy, for instance. Oh, there you go. You figured it out.
That was Brightest Day in chat.
Oh, well, thank you, Brightest Day.
Watching because I knew somebody would help me out. Thank you.
Is consistently heaviest viewed shows on Netflix. Plum Research Chief and Analytics Officer Andrzej Lachka, I think I said that right, said in a statement to VIP, in contrast, hit productions released by Netflix tend to be heavily viewed in a short time period, but have much smaller long-term viewing. Okay, so basically what this thing is saying is that Netflix needs to get back to licensing material again. And that's kind of where the title and the thumbnail come from. And this is the conversation I want to have with you guys. Do you guys think we have kind of hit the end of the streaming wars now? Especially if Netflix were to turn around and start going, yeah, we need to just get back to licensing content. Because I've noticed something in the streams lately. Oh, we got Praying Casino here. Hello, Jesus.
Do we?
Yeah, look at Six's picture.
Oh.
But anyway, the reason I bring this up is I think we may be hitting an end to the streaming wars because they've all kind of realized that, yeah, we can't be this proprietary service just for the shit that we produce because then we're not making any money. This is a conversation we've had for a while. And also, I've noticed a lot of these streaming services are starting to carry the same shit. For instance, on HBO Max, you can watch Star Trek, the motion picture director's edition that was originally a Paramount Plus exclusive. We've been seeing shows that were being taken off of HBO Max, and we're being hearing they're going to be put on other services. I have a feeling Netflix is going to start picking up some of these things too. It's inevitable, and I think this is going to be bringing an end to the streaming wars. So do you guys see that as well, or am I alone in this? Six, you have some streaming services and you watch some of these shows. Have you noticed this stuff too, or?
No. And the reason I have all these streaming services is because if I want to watch something, I don't want to have to do a free trial. I don't want to have to pay attention to canceling a free trial. I just want to turn it on and have it go. That same with my car. I just want to turn the key and have it go. I don't want to have to check the oil, check the tires, none of that. I just want to be able to watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it. So as far as the streaming wars, I have all of them. There's no war. I'm not part of that fight. The only thing I don't have is Apple Plus, because there hasn't been anything on that I even remotely wanted to watch.
Okay. Clobby, what about you?
I think it could definitely well be the case, but I don't know much about the sort of thing, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it could be, but I don't really have much to say about it. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Do you have a lot of streaming? What do you pay for?
I only do streaming now, and I have I recently gotten rid of DirecTV, different things like that, but I have a Roku. That's thanks to the great Mark D. He sent me one because
I love my Roku.
I love it. Actually, it's really good, but I have that. I actually do have one or two of the services. I don't think I use Netflix anymore, but until Cobra Kai comes back around. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do use a lot of the streaming, I must admit, but as far as whether this means it's the end of the streaming war or not, I don't know much. I hate to say it. Sorry about that.
No problem. CC, you're coming from another country, so it's a little different up there. I know that as far as streaming goes.
I definitely used a VPN, but I mean, I don't have a background in financials. I'll just say that what has really confused me about this whole streaming thing is how much money, how many billions of dollars these companies have dumped into trying to have the most subscribers. Like it's the most important thing in the world is to have the biggest member count. And I mean,
member.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't believe
especially
you walked into that one.
That's why Nick and I are here.
I apologize.
I mean, I kind of did that on purpose, but especially with Disney, they have this huge vault of all this awesome material. They didn't have to dump more than a few dimes into the thing. All they had to do was pay for the server structure and a few people to take care of it and put their old existing material on it, pick up a few tens of millions of subscribers from people who were just happy to watch the old animated movies. They didn't have to put anything new out. They didn't need to do any new content. They just needed to let the profit flow in for having the servers running. And I know servers aren't cheap, and that's why I say I'm not a professional, but like they're spending billions of dollars trying to churn out these new products when they already had products just so they can have more subscribers than Netflix. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point of view. Nick, where do you see this at this point?
Well, I guess coming from the perspective of someone who, I guess, I'm someone who definitely likes to watch good things, and and when I look at all these streaming shows, like my girlfriend, she is definitely in 3 of the categories where I file in 1.5. She's a big Seinfeld viewer because that's one of her all-time favorite shows. And I did watch Stranger Things, which I originally held off on because honestly, I was kind of checked out after season 3, but after hearing about the hype, I gave it a shot. I liked it. Now, I am an avid watcher of Bluey. I will say that show is so good, like straight up so good. It's what children's cartoons should aspire to be in the 2020s and 2010s. If you're a parent out there and you want a cartoon that you feel like you can have your kids watch, and you can even be just as entertaining as your kids, watch Bluey. Now, that said, on top of it, I would not be surprised if, a lot of streaming services go out. You're going to see a few mergers, and I'm sure Netflix will stick around. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Amazon because that was nothing honestly more than a pet project. And don't get me wrong, I actually think Amazon's one of the better streaming services. I truly believe that, but it's not as being taken serious as the others because it was just a pet project for Mr. Bezos. So I think you're gonna see a lot of mergers happen. I mean, which is fine because we've already seen quite a bit. Like the WWE Network used to be its own thing, moved over to Peacock, and then you had like what was supposed to be the DCU app with that atrocity with the Titan show move over to HBO Max. Now it's just Max. So you're gonna get more and more mergers, and with more and more mergers, you're just gonna have less network. And I do hope there is an emphasis and focus on theaters again. And in order to actually have an emphasis on theaters, they need to not have movies rushed to these streaming services, because people are catching on to that pattern, which for me, especially if a movie I want to see really badly, I'm not going to wait. But I don't blame people, especially even if they got like a family they want to bring. Yeah, time adds up. Time, money, popcorn, the big giant slushy. Yeah, I can see why parents do want to keep their kids at home if they know, hey, this is just going to be on so and so in 90 days. They'll hold off if it means saving that much money. Now, if you do like a year, parents might think a bit differently. So, yeah, I see more and more mergers, and I see less and less services within the next 5 years, and not much longer until Netflix start doing ads.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be doing that as well. Like with the new Max announcements, I'm sure that's inevitable. And to me, that almost feels like part of, the conclusion to this is the way HBO Max is doing what they're doing. And you're right about Amazon. They're kind of a sleeping giant. They have a hub there that I think will get them through any of these hard times because they handle almost all of the streaming services directly through there. So that makes it a lot easier for some people as well. But Jolly, anything to say about the streaming wars or this current situation we're in? Do you think we're kind of hitting the end of the road with it, or what do you think's going on?
I don't know about the end of the road. When I looked at that graph, the one thing that really stuck out in my mind was about half the content it looked like was, older stuff, previously viewed, Seinfeld, NCIS, stuff like that. Which makes me think, I wonder how many, possible customers they have lost out on for diehards like you and me, Tom, that prefer, real media, and buy all our stuff and keep it at home if we want to watch old episodes or old movies. So I think that might be the next real war, is trying to convince diehards like ourselves that tend to buy our media and purchase it and keep it for ourselves, compared to this next generation that doesn't buy media and just prefers to have it on demand. But I do know one thing. Blockbuster sure is kicking itself in the ass these days.
Well, that is an interesting point. I'm not so sure it'll ever come down to physical versus streaming, because I think you made the point that it's just going to take a matter of a generation and it'll be gone.
Right.
Target has already pretty much eliminated physical media. Walmart, it's almost non-existent there. Best Buy, same thing. Like, unless you go through the direct companies or Amazon anymore, you're hard pressed to be able to find anything on physical media. But there's probably more boutique labels for Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks than we've ever had before, so that's a plus.
Right.
But no, I honestly think we've hit at least the point where it's all downhill from here. I don't think any of these streamers, I think that this kind of breakdown here goes to show that the cat's out of the bag. You need to be able to consistently have classic stuff that people want to go back to. So that means regardless of who's got one of these streaming services, you're going to need that. Plus, you're going to need something new to bring people in. And this is what we were talking about before the show with HBO Max, is they can change their fucking name until they're blue in the face. But one thing that Paramount Plus proved to us, same thing with that. You can change that name until you're blue in the face. Until you got a hit show, it don't mean shit. And once Paramount Plus started getting the Taylor Sheridan spinoffs, that's when they started becoming, an actual player in this game. Before that, I was ready to count Paramount Plus out. But now I'm actually like, okay, they might actually still have a chance in this race. HBO Max, they were second in line only to maybe Disney, and even Disney Plus, I was saying, is lacking because they only had The Mandalorian, right? None of their Marvel shows have reached any of the heights of any of their other programming at this point. So regardless, it's like you either have one of these hit shows like a Stranger Things or a Cobra Kai or something to help your, help your service, or you don't. And if you don't have one of those things, then that's pretty much what screws you over, it seems like. I could be wrong, but that's just me.
I think another point to keep in mind is that physical media devices don't just come with everything these days. A lot of when you buy a laptop or a computer, they're not installed really. One of the best things about physical media is when you don't really have to go out and make an effort to buy it. You just have it in your house. Okay, I have one, so I can use it. For a lot of people who aren't going to that extra mile to go to the store and find a player. And that's just not the case anymore. It hasn't been the case for at least a decade, I don't think.
Well, I just bought a 2021 Nissan, and I got into test drive with the guy, and I said, well, where's the CD player?
Yeah,
and he said,
they don't come with them anymore.
They don't make them. And I said, I have hundreds of CDs. How am I supposed to, sing at the top of my lungs going down the highway to, all these old CDs that I have? And he said, well, you can buy adapters, or you can do it. I can't remember what he said, but that was
the easiest way is to just transfer them all to MP3 and put them on a drive if you got the input for the USB port.
Yeah, I do. But it just, I used to have a stack of CDs on the seat next to me, and I would just flip them out while I'm driving down the highway, switch them out. So
I hear you.
I'm on team 6 with that. I still have all my albums. I have around like 2,000 albums, and I'm still the guy who rotates it all and still listens to it all. Especially one of the issues too with stuff like Bandcamp and Spotify is what I want, you're not going to always find on every platform still. And also all it takes is for them to find something, a problem, especially with the music that I listen to. There's a lot of stuff that gets censored. So it's like, all right, well, I guess I will keep on keeping with my physical media. Because I'll admit at one point in time, I tried to adapt, but it backfired when I saw things being taken off like Spotify and Bandcamp. I'm like, okay, well, I guess all these CDs I was going to get rid of. Well, unless I really don't care about listening anymore, I'm just going to keep them all, mostly all of them, because, this doesn't give me incentive to transition digital when I see them finding something a problem. Like, I don't need to have, like a black metal album, like from Dissection, get taken out because someone's offended because the singer had some dumb conviction on his record. Please get the fuck out of here with that shit. So, physical media all the way, bro.
The thing I will also point out is look at how much money that Netflix spent just for that last year or two of Friends alone. I think the funny thing is because this whole thing is predicated on Netflix basically just being butthurt at the end of the day. No, I'm not kidding. It really does. Because the reason that they ended a lot of their relationships with a lot of these other studios is because, Disney's going to do their own streaming service. Well, fuck you. Oh, Warner's is doing their own streaming service. Well, fuck you. It's like, well, at the end of the day, you can only say fuck you to so many of these studios before you got nothing to show. And that's kind of what Netflix has done now. It's like, people are like, I'll check it. You just heard it from Clobby. I'll check in if they got Cobra Kai on there, but I ain't watching it otherwise because you know damn well they ain't got the movie you want anymore, right? Like, you have time you look for a movie or something or a show, it's not on there. You got to go to CBS All Access or Paramount Plus, whatever it is now, to get half the CBS shows, and all the ABC shows are somewhat on Hulu and Disney Plus, and the same thing with your Warner shows now, they're all on HBO Max. The same thing with the HBO shows and all their stuff. So it's like Andre hit it on the head, I think, mainly with the whole because I'm not one for monopolies. I don't like the idea of just having one. I like competition.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, these streaming services, we got to quit looking at them like Netflix isn't so much a company as it was a format. Right, I think Andre hit it on the head with that because, this is basically the studios are deciding we're all going to get our own formats here, and y'all are fucked. You're just going to have to deal with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. And like I said, I've started seeing more and more so on all the streaming services. They're starting to have Disney and Warner products on Peacock, and Warner Brothers has got some Disney movies and Paramount movies and shit now, and Sony movies are everywhere. So it's like. None of this makes sense. So, and I know it's just Max now, and I'll never be able to call it just Max. It's the dumbest fucking name ever.
Max.
I don't get it either. It's a weird name. Weird.
No, and I mean, we had a lot of great announcements, some bad announcements come out of the Warner Brother thing. I think they're on the right path though with certain things. Other things, don't get me started on, but the dumbest move they did, though, is changing their name. Don't change the name. Leave it alone. You're fine as it is. It was
50 years with that name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing was better than that. I think everybody agreed that HBO had the best of all the names of the streaming services.
Dude, before Netflix and Blockbuster was, doing their last air of rental, HBO was the network to be, because at the time you had shows like The Wire, you had Deadwood, you had The Sopranos, you had like, you know, jackhammer after jackhammer of shows that were making waves and people were talking about it. It was a big deal to have HBO. Like, even though I wasn't personally into all the shows myself, I was very well aware that there was an audience, and that audience was massive for all of these shows, and they were a big deal. Like, if anything, I'm surprised HBO wasn't the one that hopped on what Netflix is doing first, because I feel like if they had gotten the gun first, they would have been a runaway hit in the 2000s, because they were just doing hit after hit after hit.
I mean, are they trying to separate the HBO name brand from the streaming service? Because
I guess so.
It. That's the only thing I can really think.
I don't know why. The reason I heard was they wanted to differentiate themselves from HBO because they seen HBO as too much of an adult entertainment network. Well, they kept the Max part, which some people already associated with Cinemax, which is their other channel. Which, let's all be real, we all refer to it as Skinemax because what do we know Cinemax for?
Yeah, exactly.
Showing nearly, as legally as you can get, close to porn. Without it being porn, every Friday fucking night. That's why. And I still say Script Doctor had the best advertising campaign you could ever have for them. And it was, it's not just streaming, it's HBO. And after that, Script Doctor, I give you that full credit for it. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Sorry for my tardiness. I had a meeting. But, yeah, I mean...
But I'll add to that script. I will say, not only do you say it's not just streaming, it's HBO, then that logo keeps flipping from Turner Classic Movies to the Cartoon Network to Boomerang, all these things that they are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that this week has proven time and time again with regards to the industry is that marketing doesn't know how to sell anything. And it's the one thing that I complained about since I got on YouTube.
Yeah, and just before you got here,
than the fact that they're like, we're changing HBO Max to Max.
Yeah, and the point I made before we got here is the name change for Paramount, for instance, didn't help them at all. What helped them was Taylor Sheridan shows is what helped them.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that at the time they were rebranding CBS All Access to Paramount Plus. Paramount was the only studio in town buying spec scripts, which were pretty much mostly Taylor Sheridan shows. So. But
that was my point: is you need a hit show. You don't need a name.
Oh yeah, and you know what? HBO Max is probably going to have that with their Harry Potter thing in 3 years.
Yeah, I brought that up too in The Conjuring, which I said was a no-brainer. It's like about time you thought about doing a Conjuring series. I mean, duh.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, that Penguin trailer was terrible. It looked like basically rejects from Soprano episodes cobbled together for Batman.
Don't say.
Forget about it.
But I mean, I'm excited for the announcements. I think a Harry Potter reboot that would be basically like one episode equals one chapter of the book, and going on for 8 books. You've got guaranteed 8 seasons out of that. They cast it right, and they get a nice set of directors. They'll probably get David Nutter to direct the pilot because he's the pilot director in town and has been for like 30 years.
After Babylon 5.
And yeah, so no, I think I think the streaming wars are actually kind of just getting into the last leg.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Paramount is back on the board again.
Yep.
HBO is going to struggle, I think, for the next year because they are essentially under new ownership. Like they have been for 1 year. They've been trying to get their ducks in a row and all that. Disney is dropping. As I've seen on the numbers, Amazon is half and half right now. They're spending too much, but the shows that they put out that are kind of under the radar are doing really well. So
they're also a hub here in the U.S. I don't know if you caught that part.
Oh yeah, they are. They can do an aggregate of a bunch of other stuff as well because they also license things.
Yep.
Netflix is going to be fine, and Peacock is okay because they still have a very affordable ad model, and even the 3 tiers that HBO Max released are looking pretty good, but this is a stepping stone because I think the streaming wars will end as soon as one of the major streaming companies adopts the network model, where they actually are having advertisers bid for ad placement in their shows, because that's when they're going to be able to say, it doesn't matter how many subscribers we have, we're selling commercials like the Super Bowl for some of our hit shows because of how much engagement we're getting and the viewership and the popularity of the show. So
when you say ad placement, do you mean commercials within the show, or do you mean a box of Cheerios sitting on the counter of a
commercials?
Okay,
we'll be getting back to more structured television,
like Stranger Things is brought to you by Coke. You know, basically.
Or this episode of Harry Potter is brought to you by anthracite coal. You know, heat your furnace with anthracite coal.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah, or but I don't think we'll have it at that point. I think we'll actually have commercial breaks, commercial ads inserted in. Oh, more people calling me.
No worries.
I don't mind commercials.
Yeah, no, I see you're right. Like, because once they get past cable, we've had this conversation before, Script, and I'm right where you're at with this. And we have another guest joining us as well, Mr. Jonas J. Campbell. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just recovering from a previous live stream, so I'm glad to be amongst friends here.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Six.
Well, at least you don't have to produce this one. But we were actually just getting to the end of our main topic for the show, and the question being presented to the panel here. I mean, we made a lot of points. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to them, but what is your feelings? Do you think we've reached the end of the streaming wars here? Do you think it's kind of on the other side of it anyway?
Well, I think everybody is settled in, if that's the question. And I'd like to add on that product placement thing and the commercials thing. They still make all of these television shows as if they're going to put them on broadcast television. There's very few series that have been produced for streaming, with, I would say, the exception is these weird ones like The Mandalorian, where one episode's 30 minutes and another episode's an hour. But if you notice, they still have the act breaks in the same spots for the most part.
Yeah.
Because
except for Netflix series, that's the only ones that don't do it.
Yeah, there's some that are pretty weird, like Arrested Development. I think threw everybody for a loop with season 3 or 4.
It would be their season 4 one,
yeah, because they were
like over a decade ago, isn't it? So
yes, and that one, I think that threw everybody for a loop because they're used to a 22-minute comedy with some commercial breaks, but ended up producing things, a comedy that you don't know if it's 20 minutes or it's 40 minutes. It actually creates some weird expectations in the minds of consumers. Mm-hmm. I did my master's work on the merger between Fox and Disney, and there was a heavy focus on streaming. And I'm glad to say that a lot of it came true, and a lot of the data there got repeated by David Zaslav, of all people. Not my data, but the same data, that people show up for the premium shows, but they stay subscribed for the comfort junk.
And that's exactly what, and that's exactly what this I think it's more of an editorial, I guess you'd call it, is presenting basically. And it's just showing that. So it's funny you mentioned that specific thing, because that's what's in this this right here that we're covering. So
yeah. So at the time, Netflix, their biggest series was, and this will date me quite a bit, The Office was still on Netflix, and the only property that was owned by Netflix that was in their top chart was Orange is the New Black, which is not.
Yeah, that was their first big show.
Yeah. House of Cards was somewhere on the list, but it was not. It wasn't being rewatched. The problem for streamers is they don't have that back catalog unless they buy it. These guys that are, Peacock, HBO Max, all of these companies that have a catalog of some kind, they're the ones that are going to be more capable of keeping subscribers. I don't think that's really going to be a problem from here on out. The thing that I really like is that now we have much more awareness of who is doing well in the ratings, because we can tie it to explicit numbers and revenue per user and things like that. So, as a kid, I never knew the difference between CBS and Fox in the ratings. And I never knew that CBS, the network that I hated, was actually the most popular because they were the most willing to just make something that people want to watch. So
what else is actually kind of funny? When you take a look at all the popular shows on the streaming platforms, they all have a very structured format, unlike how Disney's stuff is varying times from 22 minutes to an episode to 33 to 45 to 55 and back and forth.
Yes,
that
NCIS
says something. Yep.
And Walking Dead And now Walking Dead, the biggest complaint about The Walking Dead, if you want to complain about The Walking Dead, is that it's a little repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
But people like that. If you put a cast of characters together, it's the same thing with early MCU. You have your characters, you have your setting. People just want to drop in and know what's going on.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it sometimes.
Well,
in some cases that's good.
Here's one conversation we're having in the background that I think is relevant here, and I don't think Six will care that I mentioned this time. But we brought Nick mentioned it was a Full House, and she said she hated that show, and I said so did I. But it is one of those shows that people watch endlessly, right? And that is exactly why Netflix optioned that and 70s Show for sequels.
Yes.
And didn't they also do that? Weren't they part of the Arrested Development revival too, or was that
yes Netflix paid for the and then it was about to sunset, and then they said they were going to renew it now, so now it's not on Hulu anymore. The first 3 seasons aren't on Hulu anymore.
See, and that's the thing, is you're right, you're 100% right, because those are the shows that people watch endlessly over and over. They come back to, and that's what that editorial article, whatever it was that we had up here before, was saying, was that sure, people show up for Stranger Things, but they don't go back and rewatch it again like they do Friends or The Office.
That's
right, like those are comfort foods,
or that we're getting
exactly what I was just going to say.
Big Bang Theory or something like that. Big Bang Theory, or
Big Bang Theory with 11 seasons, 26 episodes a season. I mean, that is exactly what they want. The same. Okay, here's our funny characters. What are they going to do next?
Yeah,
because they're doing a sequel series to it.
Yes.
Because Jim Parsons is tired of standing in a booth doing voiceovers for young Sheldon, and he's not getting the reverence he thought he would after ending the show.
Yes, and he is. I mean, as much as someone can mock Big Bang Theory for being formulaic, he deserved those Emmys. I mean, he really performed well in a very zany and very unusual.
The first few seasons of that show,
I've met him in public. He is not much different than Sheldon, other than the fact that he doesn't know science. He's still playing himself, and I'm like, listen, you win at awards for playing yourself. All the more to you. But he is the actor of his generation, which is their brand and not their talent.
I'll add one more thing. When you see when you sit down at the end of the evening and you're exhausted and you sit down on the couch, let's say you have Altered Carbon in front of you and you say, I don't know what this is. You can't sum it up in a theme song, or you have something that you're pretty sure is going to put you in a good mood, even if it's just not the most intellectual decision. A lot of people are going to go for option 2.
Oh, Chuck Lorre has nailed that formula. He's been in the industry for 40 odd years. He knows how to hit all the emotional beats for your average audience, and he's also one of the safest people in the industry. He got more years out of Mom, which was supposed to be a sitcom about a mom and her crazy mother, and he basically said, you know what, this isn't working. I'm just going to make it about alcoholic women in recovery. and he got more seasons out of that and more out of that premise than he did out of the original one.
Can I say I love this comment, by the way?
Well, I was just, I brought it up on screen because it's very relevant to what we're saying here. And Script did a great tweet where he gave them at least more than half a dozen.
I gave him over 6, I think. Yeah.
I was gonna say it was well over 6 options that would have been been a hell of a lot better than Max. Because Max is just the dumbest thing ever. I mean, I think I said it best.
It's not even an acronym for anything.
Like I said, I think I said it best the other morning when I said it would have been like when they brought out New Coke, but instead of calling it New Coke, it had just been New.
Or Pepsi Crystal, and they just call it Crystal.
Do you guys remember?
Crystal, yeah.
You guys remember C2?
No. Wait, exactly. C2 or C squared?
I think it was C2. It was supposed to be some mid-level between Diet Coke and Coke.
No.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness!
Why would you do this?
Which is just stupid.
Well, I remember Pepsi One.
But at least that's been a Pepsi name in it. I think they still do.
No, that was the
in
late
some
early
regions.
2000s. That was right around the new millennium.
I swear they still make it, but I could be wrong. But
my theory here is that they got into a boardroom and they tried to come up with a better name, and they were literally like, no, and they'll have to it's a half rebranding. They realized they painted themselves into a corner with HBO, and they even said, the guy in the Mr. Rogers-like outfit said, we don't want to dilute the HBO brand. I don't think it's really diluting the HBO brand. I think that the HBO brand is actually pretty solid, and that's your problem. But it's not really a problem, except that you dedicated yourself to this name. And you can't have an Elmo show with the word HBO on it and have people fully comfortable saying, okay.
Which I think is bullshit, because they used to have plenty of family entertainment.
Used to have family exclusive programming
all the time, every morning.
Yeah. Like, well, again,
I used to watch it. You had Encyclopedia. You had, oh God, what was the other shows they had? They had Babar. They had a bunch of other ones over the years.
But it just goes back to the problem that I have faced since I've been in the industry, which is that marketing departments don't do their job because they don't know how to. You give them something on a similar potential, like a Star Wars, like a Batman, what have you. They'll be like, well, no one in the world has ever seen it before, so we don't have any basis for how to sell this. It's like, that is your job. Your job is to be creative enough to sell this to your average audience. And if you don't know how to sell this, why am I paying you? And
Fraggle Rock is the other one.
Department. Like, no, you're not. You're an idiot.
Well, Fraggle Rock is Apple owns that one right now. I'm pretty sure.
Now they do, unfortunately, but it originally was on HBO. That's where I saw it. But yeah, to read Mecha J's actual super chat here, he says, "Why call it Max? Why not Warner Discovery Plus or Warner Max or WB Go?" Okay, well, here's the thing. I think Jonas is kind of correct here. I think they were in a meeting when they were trying to decide this. And here's one thing you have all the people over to HBO that are some woke motherfuckers, and they hate Zaslav. They have publicly brought some shit up about him here and there and the new regime and AT&T. So they are not happy with any of this shit. So I guarantee you a lot of them are like, "We don't want you fucking with our name no more. We're using our name no more." And shit like that. So then you had also, on the other end, you had Zaslav and shit going, "Look, I made Discovery. And the reason you gave me this job is because Discovery Plus was the little app that could, as I dubbed it." I'm sure he brought that to their attention in certain terms. And like, so we got to have that in there too. So you had two competing regimes right there saying, well, we want our name taken out of it. And the other regime saying we want our name to be a part of it. But then you had people in Warner's part of it and probably whatever's left of the AT&T regime going, well, you got to keep Warner's name in there somehow too then. And they threw their fucking hands up in the air at the end of the day and said, "Fuck it. We'll just call it Max.
Yeah.
We'll drop everything else. You guys can't get along. Fuck it. We're done. We're calling it Max."
It is the
That's what it feels
ranked
like.
choice voting, where nobody gets their perfect option. Everybody gets their second best option.
It does. And I've also been hearing more and more about Zaslav. He's pissing a lot of people off because he's actually showing up to creative meetings and shit unannounced. Have you heard about this?
This is great.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear.
No,
he's stirring the pot like a motherfucker up there. They are pissed at him. He's not got very many friends inside the house. That's for sure.
No, that's okay, because the more people he pisses off, the more he can be like, well, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
Well, it is more of a I'm not your friend, I'm your dad kind of a situation, right? But anyway, sorry, Jonah.
No, it's great. The live stream, watching the Discovery or whatever the event you want to call it now, the Max event or the Warner Brothers event, it was apparent that he got up there prepared to just whatever, I'm going to talk about this the way I want to talk about this. It was not like him trying to impress anybody like he's Steve Jobs or whatever. And he was wearing a white button-up shirt and I'm pretty sure a zip-up fleece underneath a black blazer, which was weird. Like,
he's always with the fleece, you know?
And sneakers, by the way. So this is obviously a man who's going to do what he wants to do. And I think maybe they just forced him to wear the jacket, honestly.
No, the guy,
because you always see him. Yeah, I was gonna say, because you always see. You're right. He has his style.
He always has the fleecy jackets or vests. No, this is something I remember hearing as well. There's rumors, like my ex-girlfriend who worked for Discovery Plus at the time would always talk about. Yeah, there's some of her bosses would come in wearing matching fleecing jackets to try and get on Zaslav's good side. I remember hearing those stories. It's like it's gone back since 2014 is when I think I first heard about it.
And he just reminds me of your rugged uncle. That's all. That's what I see. He's like, he likes to go camping and hike a lot.
And with CEOs and sociopaths, there's a high correlation of wanting to put off decisions that they don't care about. And if you've got a guy who doesn't care about his appearance and has high success, they do reach a point where it's like, okay, I've made it. I'm done. This is the outfit that I'm wearing. We're automatically here.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steve Jobs. He had
Steve Jobs. Yeah.
He had a closet full of those black shirts and white sneakers and jeans. Barack Obama, which I'm not necessarily the hugest fan of, I got to say, he also made this decision. He wore a tan suit one time, and it was all over the papers because
I remember that
ridiculousness. And then now he's back to
Well, Harrison Ford, I've never seen him in anything but a t-shirt and jeans usually outside of in movies. So you're probably right.
Oh no, I have very similar fashion to that. My girlfriend is upset because I have 12 pairs of the exact same jeans.
I kind of
have a number of shirts that are the same.
Isn't that just being a man?
Yeah, I have an
order where I just go. Because we don't worry about that kind of shit usually.
It's simple, but to be like, change your
I'm more
pants,
worried
like,
about what's on my shirt than anything.
Nice.
Like I'm more worried about that.
I have a shirt for every day of the year, and I only own like 4 pairs of jeans.
You know, Nick, I have the same problem. I've been yelled at by so many people because I do literally have probably, I could go an entire year and wear a different shirt every day and still probably go more than a year. I don't know where I lost count somewhere.
Me too.
But you get the amount of money you save on laundry because you just have to do 1 load of shirts a year and you're good to go.
You only have
Sadly, that's kind of where that started. I do. That 6 is right. I have like 5 pairs of shirts. But I got like a crap ton of fucking sweatpants.
I collect geek shirts.
My closet is just like a line of these, literally.
I dress like a fat kid. Yeah, geek shirts. See, that's the thing. Growing up, I dress like a fat kid still, except for that, Clobby. Because growing up as a fat kid, you could never find clothes in my size that were cool.
Oh, I know. I'm the same way.
I could never go to Walmart and get an actual T-shirt with like, Beavis and Butthead at that time, or the Simpsons, or Ninja Turtles, or anything like that. Yeah, in my size. But now that I have the internet, exactly. Now that I have the internet, and I got hooked on it, and then my washer took a shit, at 1 year, and my landlord decided he wasn't going to fix it. He left it up to me, and I'm like, I'm not fixing the sumbitch, and I'm not. He goes, you can go to a laundromat. It was my
uncle's. That sucks.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not going to a laundromat. So I just started buying shirts. Wow. So me and my kid had shirts, tons out the ass. We've got so many fucking shirts, it's not even funny. But he's always stealing my pants and shit.
I collect geek shirts, man. I get bored when I don't get a new geek shirt for a while. I got so many of them, it's ridiculous.
I have kind of now too, Clobby. I've not bought too many in the last few months here now.
Here's my deep confession. I have more pajama pants than I do actual pants. I probably have around like 20 pajama pants, and then 3. I ain't gonna plead the fifth on that one. I got my Cookie Monster pajamas. I got 3 Homer pajamas. I got a Ninja Turtles one.
Nick, this is what happened to me. I just realized the other day that I have so many pajama pants. I bought another pair of Friday the 13th ones that I already had that I didn't realize I already had. Like, now I got 2 pairs of these.
Well, you guys are great, and Tom, you've invited me on before, and I haven't been able to say yes, and it's been a long day. But man, I really appreciate this conversation. I hate that I have to run, but I do.
No problem, brother.
And I love this topic because it's so focused on business and how people interact with business. It's all psychology, and it's all trying to figure out how people are going to react to things. And I think you're right. They're all settled in now, and I don't think the change from HBO Max to Max is really going to rock anything.
It makes a difference,
that much. And
I think that's part of the reason their stock dropped a little bit yesterday, though. That I do.
Yeah. The interesting thing for me to see will be whatever happens with the remainder of Hulu. If anything doesn't go according to plan, then all of a sudden we've got news. So that'll be something I'm looking forward to. But I think it's probably going to stay with Disney, and they're just going to pay for their additional shares. So I'll see you guys another time. Y'all are the best.
And Jolly, did you want to stick around for a few more minutes, or did you want to take the opportunity now to check out as well?
You gonna tuck and roll?
Tuck and roll.
Oh yeah, no. I got a couple of streams I got to do tonight, so I might as well start getting ready for that. But thank you for having me on, Tom, and I appreciate it. And much love.
There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house.
If you like freaky puppets, come subscribe to the Snow Dub channel, and we have lots of fun over there, lots of laughs. By the way, is Alf possibly coming out of retirement for Cotton Council season 2?
Maybe. I got to get back in touch with
Mike.
Don't touch Mike. He doesn't like.
No. Like Mike. Yeah, no. Alf will make an appearance again. It's just I need I I would like to have a puppet or two of my own.
Right. But yeah, just a cameo is always fun. We love seeing
yeah, we can work that out for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, have a great rest of your night and much love, and subscribe to MEAD Radio.
There is no elf going on retirement.
Oh, come on, Mike. Hey, Mike.
I like how we didn't hear from him all along, and then
he's all quiet until I said that. Yeah, that's funny. Love you, Mike. All right, guys. Have a good night. Tuck and roll.
Take care, Snoop.
See ya.
Good one.
Itty rolls. No, I got to get a puppet made. That's for sure.
You should.
We got a couple more
voices you do.
I try. Well, I had one, but it was too much like Jolly, so that was a problem. Now Nico Glock is saying he'd super chat 400 if y'all go on cam. Well, here's the problem: we can't because Clobby don't have a cam. He said.
Yeah. What? It didn't come with this new computer.
And Script Doctor ain't gonna dox himself, so.
Yeah, this is a virtual camera, so it kind of counts.
You don't want to see this ugly face. You're good.
As much as I'd appreciate the $400, yeah.
I only go on cam for my OnlyFans.
I hate you guys.
I hate you too.
Nikki D says, which statement for an upcoming film or TV project is bigger red flag? Reimagined for a modern audience or produced by Seth Rogen? Don't they mean the same thing?
Pretty much kind of the same thing.
I was going to say, don't they mean exactly the same thing?
I hate that word.
Anything produced by Seth Rogen that didn't have reimagined for a modern audience associated with it.
Hate the word reimagined. It should also be changed to de-imagined.
Well,
it takes no imagination
to remake for that.
Can't we just go back to when Seth Rogen was making original crap that nobody gave a fuck about?
Like Superbad?
Yes.
Or the Talking Hot Dog movie?
Yeah, please.
Like, I can ignore that.
I thought Paul was an okay, fun movie before I really hated Seth Rogen. It was good.
I don't know how much he had to actually do with the writing.
No, he was just doing the voice. It was
I was going to say, because wasn't that Edgar Wright?
When Simon Pegg was actually pretty good. And it was Simon Pegg and
what's his face? But
Nick Frost.
Nick Frost, yeah.
Yeah, they used to be hilarious together before Simon Pegg turned into an idiot.
Who directed that? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't think
it was Greg Mottola. Greg Mottola.
It wasn't Ross. It wasn't right. Yeah, it was okay.
It was Greg Mottola who directed it.
That's a fairly fun movie,
The guy who did Superbad directed it. So yeah, it was
okay.
Yeah.
Decent.
Yeah. He's the guy who did that new Fletch movie too that I haven't seen yet.
So that was pretty good.
I liked it. Fletch. I enjoyed that.
It was based
on.
I
bought it because I got it dirt cheap, but I haven't watched it yet. That's what I've heard, Clobby. Yes.
The original second book actually was the title Confess. I was a huge fan of the Fletch book back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Even though I like the Chevy Chase movies, mind you, they're good, but the books are very, very, very different. And
but those are very Chevy Chase movies. That's why.
Apparently, Ham was like me. I heard him talking about that back then. He liked the movie a lot, so he started reading the books as a friend and I did, and he became big into the books by Gregory McDonald. And this book is closer to those. And I hope he does another one.
Well, not only that, I thought John Hamm played more like Fletch from the books than
he is. Yes, he doesn't look like he's described in the books, but he plays him a lot more like in the books.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed his performance. I actually kind of preferred him over Chevy Chase, even though Chevy Chase had some great, quips.
Yeah. They're very different. Yeah, I mean, he's
playing Chevy Chase. That's why. And
right.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing. Is Chevy Chase said, "I want a Beverly Hills Cop." That's why Fletch came from it originally.
And his Fletch theme is very Beverly Hills Cop-ish.
Well, yeah, that's why they got Harold Faltermeyer just to do the fucking music. They're like,
we really enjoyed that movie so much, and made us want to see
the soundtracks.
Yeah, and the books are great.
No, but then just be glad we didn't get the Kevin Smith fucking Fletch movie.
Oh, he wanted to adapt Son of Fletch, which would have been horrible. No,
he was going to do Fletch 1 for a while.
Yeah, he was.
He went to bat for Chevy Chase, and that didn't go well.
I just hope
he never go to bat for Chevy Chase, man.
Is John Hamm going to do another one? I hope they do.
I don't know how well this one's done. It'd be neat. It'd be cool if they did like a streaming series or something.
I'd take it. Man.
I'd like to see it though. I'm going off of what you guys have said though, because I haven't seen it.
You got the movie to watch it tonight, man.
If you get a 90 minutes. They changed some stuff from the book that I wasn't completely sanguine about, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. And I want to see another one.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed with TV. I was impressed with Roy Wood Jr. in that movie. He played it far straighter than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part too, towards the end, where they actually make fun of wokeism.
Yes,
it was really well done.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out here soon. I've been watching a lot of 80s television, but I did catch Shazam finally.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. Yeah, the new one. Yeah. Tiger Valley says, "Don't mind streaming killing cable, but I don't want physical to die. Hope studios keep it in boutique form, where they will always have market." Well, at least for now. Like I said, it's going to take a generation or so before people who don't buy physical at all are still around.
I suspect we'll get a revival like the vinyl revival.
Yeah,
kind of. Well, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is the boutique companies? We have more boutique labels now than we ever have before. I mean, it is like a renaissance when it comes to that. We're getting movies in 4K that I would never have imagined because of some of these boutique labels. Like Sidekicks, the Chuck Norris film, got
Jonathan
a 4K
Landis
fucking before it ever got an original Blu-ray release. As it should. Has one of the best nunchucking scenes ever in it.
Yes. Oh man, I want to watch that now.
Almost as good as Michelangelo and Enter the Dragon, but anyway.
Oh no, dude, Enter the Dragon. Oh.
No, and like I'll turn people on to like these boutique labels like Vinegar Syndrome and Kino Lorber all the time because they've got such a deep catalog of stuff that either you forgot about, been looking for forever, or never even heard of. But yeah, some fun stuff. Shout Factory and all the other ones, of course, are great too. Yeah. Professor Gray says, "Streaming wars over. Meanwhile, my Plex server means me and the family. I don't care." Yeah, I've been thinking about getting a Plex server just to kind of maybe. But I love my movies.
I like it. Yeah. So.
I'm thinking about doing it more so for series, like because I have a ton of TV series, and this has lately been a problem because I've been shifting. Like I said earlier, I've been watching a bunch of 70s and 80s TV series. Like the Rockford Files, Miami Vice.
Yeah, I just got that on digital, the whole set.
Greatness.
Yeah, so and I got Cheers on digital, but I want to get the Blu-rays too just to have them. But I'd like to put a Plex server together just for my shows because I got so many that it's tough to keep.
Currently I've got 9 terabytes worth of television shows.
All my Star Trek shows
on a 14 terabyte drive. Let me just because I have it all independently because I just
want it to be easier to access when you got like hundreds of shows for a disc set compared to a movie. It's easy just to put a movie in and whatever, but like when I'm in the middle of a series, it's like, oh, which disc was I on? Oh yeah. That's the only downside to that. So that I might think about doing just a Plex server just for that kind of shit. David Nelson says 199er here. So did you notice that in Mando 3.6, Gogurt is now a Jedi Knight? Also,
Gogurt
was the best.
Gogurt. And now all of a sudden I wanted a
Gogurt. Can't believe they haven't made Grogu Gogurt yet.
Oh, I'm sure they have. If I go to Walmart,
I can't believe because you could do that. You have in the show, like Mando comes up with something to give him that's like in a little like tube like that. And then you just have Grogu Mando branded fucking Gogurt, whatever color it is, the crap that he's eating.
Instead, they put him in a IG-11 chassis.
I saw that. Around. Yes. That was fucking annoying.
Like a 3-year-old. Yeah.
Krang meme.
So this is how they're getting around him talking. Yeah, it's just like Krang. Yeah, I saw that clip, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not fucking watching. And then I saw the cameos they had this year, and it's like. These are some of the last people I would have ever thought of getting involved in Star Wars outside of maybe Christopher Lloyd, but it looks like he was kind of wasted.
He was.
Because this is the guy who played one of the original, well, not just Doc Brown, but he was in Star Trek. He was one of the Klingons in Star Trek 3.
Commander Krug.
I mean, it wasn't totally wasted because he's a man in The Mandalorian.
True, but I mean, you could have given him something cooler to do.
It was pretty embarrassing. It was terrible. Basically, it was a Scooby-Doo villain.
Listen, the biggest failing of The Mandalorian is that it talks down to its audience.
Christopher Lloyd is one of the most undersung actors ever.
Oh God, he's great. I mean,
he does lots of small stuff too, so he hasn't really been taking a break.
I mean, he's a real actor.
Yeah, he was actually in a movie with William Shatner not too long ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I loved it.
It was
loved it. Did not expect that much of it, but I ended up loving that movie.
Oh, really? I need to see that.
Can't remember the name of it, but it's hilarious. It's him, Shatner and what's her face from
Designing
Women. Shit.
Yeah.
Jean, yes, Jean Smart or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
I think so.
It's hilarious because it's all about Shatner being old and he loses his license.
Driver's license, yeah.
It's a good movie to watch with your mom. You know, or something like that. You know, it's a really like feel good kind of romantic comedy. It's nothing, you know, more than just fluff, but it was a nice to see those two together again on screen, and the little romantic comedy thing going on with him and Jean Smart was all right and whatnot. But yeah, it was pretty funny actually. What the hell was the name of it? I'm trying to remember now.
Movie. It's called Movie with Shatner and Christopher Lloyd.
I know, right?
And the one where he doesn't kick him off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have had enough of you.
Yep.
Of course, if you wanted to do a real movie about William Shatner losing his license, you just say, "Screw you! I'm just going to ride my horse."
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, he was a nobody. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd was great in Nobody.
Yeah, he's great. Senior Moment. That's what it's called. Thank you, Mecha J. Senior Moment. And actually, I got it pretty cheap on streaming, actually, believe it or not. Not to dump on. I don't know if it's had a physical media release yet, sadly. But you can get it pretty cheap on streaming, on video on demand. Dira says, in other news, Levi is going to rebrand as Jeans. Yes, this is a great example. Like, the fuck? ActionCom says everything about getting a Blu-ray or even a simple DVD carousel, those things can hold over 100 discs. I like my covers though. I do. I like having the library.
Oh yeah. Takes up space, but it's worth it.
You got to understand. I spent over half my life in video stores.
Oh yeah.
Like, so for me, it's kind of like a thing to just.
Sure.
I mean, if I could have the room to have my own video store set up, I would. I'd be one of those guys. I wouldn't have like the VHS and all that crap. I just put my current stuff up. But it'd be so much easier to just kind of peruse and be like, oh, I want to watch this tonight. You know, like that kind of a thing. Because otherwise, that's the only thing with having such a huge selection. Is the same thing with streaming. I find myself just skimming through all the shit they got more than I'm actually watching anything. And that can be sometimes the bigger problem of having a large selection of Blu-rays and stuff like that, is like get overwhelmed with, well, what do I want to watch? And then you spend more time trying to figure out what you want to watch than
how do you have your collection organized, Tom?
Semi by alphabetical, but I have run out of shelving, so I have a bunch of stuff in boxes yet. So
not only that, there's a lot of steelbooks and DVD, Blu-ray boxes that are not consistent in their sizes. So
that's a problem.
I mean, the carousels are nice, but you have to be limited to what it can hold or how the type it can hold. And some of the
unless he just means one that.
I think he just means the disc.
Yeah, because there's like disc carousels too. You can just get too. I think.
Oh, those ones you can get up to like 1,000 in there if you get one of the big ones. But again, like their disc is always in a tray, ready to go.
See, I was always one of those guys that would like yell at my friends when they would have like a fucking CD folder full of fucking movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, what the hell did you do to your collection? I threw out all the cases. I don't need all that shit.
Oh my god!
And I'm like,
oh no.
It just made me sink in my chair every time. I'm just like,
no, I had a roommate that did that. He had 4 books of movies, and the worst part is that every time he'd pull it out, he'd scratch the bottom of the disc because those are not good for movies.
I quit using them for CDs outside of burnt discs because that's the only time I'd ever use them. Was just I had one for my car, and I learned the hard way that, like you just said, script, no matter how they look or whatever the felt they have inside, your shit's getting scratched.
Yep.
And it's getting scratched bad. So I had like some of my favorite CDs have all been destroyed. I can't even find that case, but once I do, that's where my original Meatloaf was in. I was telling Six about one night for reference. That's what anybody else knows.
Well, I mean, that's when you take a look at the DVD cases, the part where you place the DVD on, it's tapered like a bell. That's because the disc doesn't actually touch the back of the case. It hovers above it because it's pinched in the middle, and that's so that it doesn't scratch the the disc side.
Yeti, it's funny though, in Six asking that question, it is one of the toughest questions in the world that you sit down and I have to figure out sometimes how I'm going to categorize some shit. I know you're making a joke here about the booty part, but like, I have to sit down and figure, okay, am I going to put DC movies all together? Am I just going to do the DC Snyderverse movies together with all the other stuff? Or am I going to separate them? Am I going to put all the Batman stuff together or Spider-Man stuff together? Or am I going to put all that stuff under Marvel? Or am I just going to put the MCU stuff together? Then you run into shit like Godzilla and King Kong, where it's great up to a point until you get shit like Godzilla versus King Kong. Or Freddy and Jason when you get up to a point where you got shit like Freddy versus Jason.
But
and
that's when you put the Freddy versus Jason between the Freddy and the Jason movies.
But they don't go together alphabetically. That's the problem.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Even if you do, and here's the other thing, too, Six, and this, I know, it's like, this is the fucking turmoil I have sometimes. It's like, okay, so even if I do them categorically, like, because some people drive me nuts. It's like, I don't know how you factor this, but like some people will have their shit sectioned out like by like horror, by genre, you know, like horror, action, all that stuff. It's like, well, that's kind of like an action comedy, or that's more of a comedy than an action film. Why do you have it there? That's what used to drive me nuts about video stores when I would work in them in certain ones when I couldn't do it myself. Because, like, to me, it's like, you can't put Pulp Fiction in the comedy section. I get it, but almost every video store I've ever been in, for some reason, Pulp Fiction is in their comedy section.
Really? When I worked at Blockbuster, we put that in drama.
Yeah, no, it should be in the drama or action.
But don't movies have a category on the back?
Well, a lot of Warner Brothers, actually, when they shipped their stuff through Entertainment One and a couple other distributors, they put the genre category in with the retail code, so you knew exactly where to place it on your shelf.
Yeah, some of them would do that, and then sometimes, like, when I would work at like Blockbuster, but Movie Gallery, which I'm assuming Blockbuster's a lot like, all that shit's in the computer ahead of time, so it'll just tell you where it goes. They decide. At corporate level, so like it's just either going to be in sci-fi, comedy, drama, horror, you know, and they're all sectioned off into certain things anyway. And then to me, it's like you got sub genres and shit too, to where I start getting pissy. So it's like, you know what, fuck it, it's all going alphabetical, except for movies that go together, right? Like the only exception would be like sequels and stuff. If they're actual sequelized films, then I'll keep them together, basically. But otherwise, I just kind of gotten to a point where I threw my hands up, and it's like, it's just all going alphabetical otherwise. The only other exception I'll make, like, to me, I figure like the Marvel movies, those are sequels to each other. So those are all together, the MCU films. But if they're not an MCU film, then like the Hulk stuff is all under Hulk, no matter what's before Hulk.
I put the Incredible Hulk with the MCU.
That movie would go there. That's my point. But like the Ang Lee Hulk would go with all my other Hulk stuff, like the Incredible Hulk series and all that other shit, to where I would generally have that stuff all together. I'll go by character then in that respect. But
I got that little bit of OCD. I need everything to be
horrible.
organized in a row. And
I'm so bad with
when it all gets messed up and jumbled, and that's
Nick's got to get moving here too. But I'm probably going to head over to that show eventually here if I have enough gas left. But we got a couple more super chats, and there was at least one more story I wanted to touch on, but maybe I know one we will, the other one we might save for later. Brandon, the anime guy, said media server is the way to go.
Plex is one.
Plex, I think is what he meant. Yeah.
Yeah, because D and X are close together on the keyboard.
I figured that, or it corrected it for him on purpose. And yeah, because pled is an actual word, and Plex. Well, Plex is a real word. Yeah. Also easier than ever to get media in high quality on a personal cloud media server. Cheers. Yes. And that's the only reason I've been thinking about getting into it lately too, is the ability to you don't have to worry about the quality. Yeah, we figured it. Oh, see, his phone did it to him. Mega J says, saw the trailer for the new D Plus movie called Muppets Mayhem. So did I. I thought it looked fine until I saw that Kevin Smith cameo near the end. You know what's sad? The Kevin Smith cameo is one of the parts that made me chuckle. I'm just done with this whole thing with Muppets and Disney, because like very few people that are involved, and I wish Snow was still here for this one. Very few people of the original Muppets are still involved with that anymore. Like Frank Oz has flat out said that they don't want me. This is the man who does like what 40% of the Muppet voices. Like anyway, what are you saying, Six? Sorry.
When did that trailer come out?
Like the day before or yesterday or something like that. It's basically the Electric Mayhem. It's like their own movie.
Huh.
And I thought it was a great concept. There's a few parts in the trailer where I chuckled, But I'm like, I would be all for this if it wasn't Disney and it actually had some of the people, or at least had most of the people involved that were actually like all the new Muppet stuff that doesn't have any of the classic people involved. I have not liked. There's something off about it. To me, the last decent Muppet movie was The Muppets, the first Disney Muppet movie, and that was just because some of the original people were still involved. Mm-hmm. And that was actually, I don't know, Script might remember this. That was a script that was going around for a while, that concept. In fact, they used that concept twice because they did it in one of the Christmas television specials too, where they were going to try and get back the Muppet Theater or whatever.
They've done. Oh, you're talking about the Jason Segel one?
Yes. Oh, that concept had been floating around for a while.
Yeah, that had been, 12 years they were trying to pitch that story.
That's what I was saying. I know I've heard, because I think I read an early version of it myself way back when in the early days of the internet. So I was like, yeah. Anyway. Oh, Snow's still here. Muppets are lifeless pieces of felt that are just propaganda for Disney. They do climate change commercials now. Pathetic. Told you ESG is next. But all right. Since before Nick leaves, because he's going to leave here, this was one that you brought up, Nick, so I don't want you to go too fast here. If you can stick around for a few more minutes. Because you brought this up, you wanted to talk a little bit about the new characters or the new actors for the characters in the Creature Commandos were announced. And yeah, you and Klobby are my go-tos on this because I've never knew what Creature Commandos were ever. Never heard of them before this announcement.
Oh, okay. Well, I was about to run, but I'll wait for a second. I mean, I gotta.
Oh, if you can. Well, if not, we can.
I'm sorry.
I should have done this sooner. That's my bad.
No, I'm sorry. Wait a few minutes.
No, if you guys want to talk about it, cool. If not, we can just say, yep, they got people.
I can hammer out a quick comment about this. So it's I've known about the property and the name because of some of the creatives who were involved. Unfortunately, I never got around to actually reading it. But you know, it's an interesting cast. I actually will check out the cartoon when it comes out. I don't honestly know what to expect. I'm not in a optimistic, but I'm not in a really pessimistic spot. I'm just let's see what happens. And you know, it could be fun. I do like when Gunn, as I've historically said in here many times, I like his emphasis to give these lesser known characters a shot at a screen, whether it's the big or small. So I'm curious to see what happens. So I will definitely check it out when it's out right away and hope for the best.
All right. Well, we got the voice talents.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I don't even know who's.
I was going to run through them real quick. Yeah, Sean Gunn is Weasel, of course, returning. Frank Grillo is Rick Flag. Maria Bakalova, as Princess Ilana. Am I saying that right? Rostovic. Indrana Varma is the bride. Zoe Chow as Nina Mazursky. Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus. David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein. And Sean Gunn as G.I. Robot again. And Steve Agree reprises his role as John Economist. So
good cast. Go. I mean, I like that one.
Yeah.
I don't know why Dr. Phosphorus is in this thing. This is a completely later iteration of the Creature Commandos. So a couple of them, G.I. Robot, and a couple of those guys are from the old and the Frankenstein character, but a lot of them are from the new Screw 52 thing anyway. So, which I never paid much attention to. It's a good cast, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, good cast, but I'm curious. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the new 52 stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just wanted to grab your guys' comments on that because Nick brought. No, that's fine. Nick brought it into the conversation in the chat, and you guys are my comic boys. So
I lost a minute. I forgot you did mention that at the beginning, but
I should have done that first. That was my bad. I did not expect our intro to be that long either. So yeah. Good problem to have, though. Well, thank you so much for being here, Klobby and Nick. And we're going to do a few more super chats, and we'll probably get out of here.
Thank you guys, have a great one. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Midnight Dead Chat. We love you guys.
Later, guys.
Have a great evening.
Bye,
all right.
Bye,
good night, Sixy.
Later, Klobby.
Bye,
have a good one.
Tom Script.
I'm a friend. Later.
Do check out their channels, and we'll get to these super chats, and maybe we'll get out of here, or maybe we'll talk about that other story. We got Jesus Davila who sends us in a super sticker. Let's see what it is. I bet it's a thumbs up. Oh, no, it's popcorn this time. Or no, that's Dearest. Or no, you said Jesus. Okay, so it's popcorn. Okay. I don't know. It's a super sticker. They still ain't fixed that. Of all the new stuff they put into StreamYard, they still ain't fixed that. But thank you so much. Professor Gray says, Tom, want to try Plex? Email me. I'll set you up. Oh, well, cool. I'll try to... actually, probably easier if I just give you mine, but I don't know what your email is offhand unless you emailed me something already. But yeah, I just got to buy the server business and all that stuff. So yeah. Camelback Killer says, panel, would you rather see Mario or Zelda first? Well, I think we already got Mario, so if Zelda was already made, of course, or a Donkey Kong movie. Okay, so if like we had a chance.
So if they didn't make anything yet, which of those three would we want? Don't care. Sorry.
I think Zelda's disconnected from the other ones enough that it didn't really matter, like in that sense. But like, yeah, you have to kind of start with Mario in a sense. Either way, he's the safer bet.
Yeah, and it looks like it's working out well for Nintendo.
Absolutely. And with that, we're caught up. And unless you guys had to check out of here, we could do that other story, or we could just call it a night because we are over 2 hours. So
let's do this story. I want to talk about sex.
You want to talk about sex, baby? Let's talk
about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that
make these. Quentin Tarantino calls Death Proof bombing a shock to my confidence. It says his films lack sex because it hasn't been necessary. I just thought I'd bring this up because
Death Proof and sex have nothing to do with
necessary.
No, it's just yeah. Quentin Tarantino has been making an international press rounds to support his book Cinema Speculation, which I've read and I love. Recently speaking to Spain's Diara Ara or ARA about how one of his only box office bombs shook his confidence as a film director. That bomb would be Death Proof, Tarantino's 2017 stuntman action thriller starring Kurt Russell that was released domestically as one of half of the movie Grindhouse. The other half was
2017. I thought that was earlier than that.
I was gonna say, I think they got that wrong. I think it's 2007. Yeah, I think they wrote it wrong. I think it's supposed to be 2007. That sounds more correct.
Yeah, because it's I remember.
Yeah, no way.
They screwed up
wrong.
there.
Yeah, definitely. That's a typo.
Like 10 years off.
I was gonna say, I think they just typoed it wrong. The other half of Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror in the Grindhouse, which earned $25 million, while Death Proof kicked up only $30 million overseas in its standalone release. Before we get into his reaction to this is stupid because this was their own fucking fault. Grindhouse was one of the worst released films of all time. Most people didn't know that it was 2 fucking movies in one.
Yeah, a lot of people left the theater after the first movie. Yeah, I remember that.
And then at the same time, you had a 3-hour presentation or 3+ hour presentation, and that means less show times.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think most people understood what the fuck it was either.
It was supposed to be the old drive-in double bill
yes.
Grindhouse stuff. Like cinephiles got it, but your average audience members, they had no clue.
No. And I think they baffled that from the very fucking start. It was I don't know how they could have done it better, but I don't blame Quentin for this at all. Because in actuality, I would say that Planet Terror is fun, but Death Proof is actually the better of the 2 films. Let's be real. I could be wrong here, but that's my
Death
feeling.
Proof. I think both were pretty good. I like the full version of Death Proof a bit more than the abridged one.
Yeah, both versions actually, but yeah.
Yeah. They're all well made, and the fake trailers were awesome. Like Thanksgiving hit really hard, and the Hobo with a Shotgun one ended up producing itself an actual movie with Rutger Hauer.
And don't forget Machete, of course, as well.
Oh, and Machete. Oh God, yeah.
There's another one they're making, or maybe it's that Thanksgiving one.
I hope it's the Thanksgiving one. That was
there is one that's coming out here. I think it's the Thanksgiving one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like that's the thing is like I just think it was I don't know how you could have marketed it right, like I said, but it was a snafu. They should have released them separately, and they should have released it as like a.
They should have. They were starting in summer with it.
Yeah, and like set it up like, oh, we're gonna do this new kind of thing where we're gonna allow these directors to do these like Grindhouse type pictures. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like and set it up as kind of like its own little, like Tales from the Crypt movies. You know what I mean? Like they're under a genre or under a brand.
Well, they were looking at trying to essentially do an exploitation revival, and it could have worked because I remember at the time, because I was just starting out of this industry, I remember so many people being like, yeah, let's do some fun, gratuitous violence, silly, throwback 70s, early 80s movies. And people were pitching them around, and Robert Rodriguez and Troublemakers got a lot of cool stuff on the rise. But the one thing that happens with Hollywood is that they were lucky enough to get enough money to pay for those two movies. And even though popularity within the cinema community, they did really well on the grand audience scale of things, it wasn't enough for them to get more loans to continue it on and build up their little subgenre revival.
Well, and Brandon says it is kind of an anthology of sorts as it is now, and that I think was the mistake. I think they should have released them as separate releases, and done it that way. And then it had a life of its own afterwards. But anyhow, because I've been lucky enough to write stories that have connected with many people, and this allowed me to practice my art without the restrictions that most filmmakers have, Tarantino told the publication. Now, a funny thing happened. For a while, I was getting a lot of project proposals until the studios ended up assuming that I do my stories and it wasn't worth the effort. But after Death Proof, which didn't do well at the box office and was a bit of a shock to my confidence, I started getting proposals again. Okay. They must have thought perhaps now he's touched and his temper has gone down. Now it's the time. Tarantino added, and there's nothing wrong with making commission movies for Hollywood. They always offered me interesting projects, but I prefer to reinvest in myself in myself and made Inglourious Basterds. The filmmaker admitted in 2021 interview with Empire magazine that he had overestimated audiences' excitement for a double feature release like Grindhouse. With Grindhouse, see, he already kind of understands what we were just saying. I think me and Robert just felt that people had a little more of a concept of the history of double features and exploitation movies. Tarantino said at the time, no, they didn't at all. They had no idea what the fuck they were watching. It meant nothing to them. All right, what we were doing. So that was the case of being a little too cool for school. But as for the movie playing in England as a movie, I think people took it okay. Yeah, 30 million in England. That's respectable for a movie like that.
Mm-hmm.
The filmmaker also touched upon the lack of nudity and sex scenes in his movies. This is what Six wanted to talk about.
Yeah, the sex scene in Jackie Brown.
Yeah, speaking to Diara ARA, outside of Robert De Niro and Bridget Fonda in Jackie Brown, which is probably one of the most realistic sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie before when it comes to that kind of shit.
Well, it comes to an ex-con and
it's just a quickie. Yeah. It's like there's nothing to it. It is as straightforward as it gets, and it is kind of hilarious when it's over and done with, because it's like, yeah, we've all kind of been there in one shape or form.
Not me. I would love to be finished that quickly. I'd have stuff to do in the day.
It's one of those things. It's true, sex is not a part of my vision of cinema, Tarantino said, and the truth is that in real life, it's a pain to shoot sex scenes. Everyone is very tense. And if it was already a bit problematic to do it before, now it's even more so. So if there had been a sex scene that was essential to the story, I would have. But so far it hasn't been necessary. And that's the part I wanted to key in on here too, because that's kind of the points that I think a lot of us have been making about this whole movement to begin with, and this whole idea of sexuality in film. It's like, it shouldn't fucking matter unless it matters in the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying here, ostensibly. I think that's what at least that's what I'm getting out of it. What about you, Six, since this is what you want to talk about?
I agree 100% with what you said. I don't have anything.
Are you distracted?
A little bit.
Sorry. That's all right. CC, anything to say to that?
No, I remember these movies, being advertised as something, but the problem was that it wasn't really advertising one movie or the other. I never got a sense that there was like this movie coming out that I was focused on. I think that really hurt it, because I loved them. I personally went and watched them, but I didn't know what the fuck I was watching before I went and saw it, because the advertising was kind of split in a very confusing way. As far as the sex, well, heck, man, shirtless, ripped guys sell well, and so do women in bikinis. So I'm okay with it.
Well, Tarantino hasn't had a problem with the good-looking women and good-looking men in the movies. It just doesn't need a bunch of sex scenes to sell it. And in fact, I think most of his movies would come to a dead halt if it wasn't for that. And that's where I think they'd all be out of place outside of Jackie Brown, where it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of funny when it's one of the most memorable scenes of the film.
Well, I mean, what's great is that like 20 minutes later he kills her.
Well, that's a little bit longer than that, but like 20 minutes of the film time, yeah. But like, just like she's like, "You want to fuck?" And he's like, "Sure." It's over. Oh, we got Action Comics sending in $5. It says 6. Are you there, 6?
Yes.
You still distracted?
Nope, I am listening.
You looking forward to the Netflix movie Obsession? I don't even know what this is. What is this?
Never heard of it. Is it about sex?
Yes, it is.
All right.
It is. Obsession may be Netflix's kinkiest series yet, according to Rolling Stone.
No, I don't watch Smut Like That.
Oh, okay. It's an adaptation of Josephine Hart's novel Damage. So there you go. It's about a surgeon who has a lot of sex with his son's fiance.
Oh, that's disgusting.
God.
Yeah, I know. That's good.
That is so San Francisco.
I'm good without having that in my life. Thank you so much. Now I know.
Charlie Day has a new movie coming out that actually looks all right.
Who does what now, Script?
Charlie Day has a comedy film coming out that actually looks okay. It's got Kate Beckinsale in it, and he plays a mute, but he's not deaf, and he was institutionalized, but he's a dead ringer for a famous actor. So the producer, played by Ray Liotta, takes him and uses him whenever the actor frustrates the hell out of him, and he ends up becoming more famous as a result. It looks rather silly. Trailer was pretty decent.
So Ray Liotta had another movie that wasn't Cocaine Bear. That's his last movie. I thought that was supposed to be his last movie.
Cocaine Bear was, I think, the last performance, like that he did before he passed away. This This one here, let's just see here.
I'm not like a Charlie Day fan.
It's called Fool's Paradise.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, he wrote and directed. Stars got Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, and Ray Liotta, and Kate Beckinsale, Adrian Brody. Pretty good cast, actually.
I like Adrian Brody. He's a good actor.
I think our story from earlier is accurate because we just got this from Discussing Film here a couple hours back. Warner Brothers Discovery executives briefly looked at alternatives to the HBO Max name change that could include Warner, WB, or HBO before ultimately sticking with Max. So think what we said happened. They're just like, fuck that shit. You guys can't get along. Nobody can fucking agree on anything. We'll just call the whole goddamn thing Max. Just fuck it. We're done. And then they'd be like, why did we change our name? Yeah. I don't get it. Sorry. Anyway, derailing it. That was something that come up in my background here. With that, I think we're caught up for the day. What do you guys think? Anything more to discuss?
Been a great day.
I know. I can't believe Ray Liotta's dead. It doesn't feel real.
No,
I look at him every day.
Really hurts, yeah.
Every day I see that man's face. He's staring at me right now. But Bruce is dead too, and he's staring at me every day too. So. But yeah. Anyway, and so is Scarface, but that's the character. Yeah, stuff is gay, Yellow Flash. Some stuff isn't gay. But with that, I think we're going to roll this up and smoke it. What do you got here? What do you got here? Oh, Fool's Paradise. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's got a link to the trailer, so you can watch that when your show's over.
Sure. All right. With that, CC, what you got to plug?
Not much. Usual Friday night karaoke after the late show with Mexican Iron Man. And immediately following this, I'm just going to go wish a friend a happy 1-year anniversary on YouTube with some special guests. So that's what I got going on.
Awesome. Script Doctor, anything going on, or just plug your Patreon or anything?
I'm working on my review of the latest Star Trek Picard episode, so that's going to take some time. There's a lot to digest from that.
All right. 6, you got anything coming up?
Nope, not till Tuesday.
Okie dokie. And yeah, I'll be on the morning show. I might hop into Thursday night. I don't know what's going on over there yet, but we'll see. I'm kind of hungry. I haven't ate much today. I did have.
You had pizza, didn't you?
No, I actually had a pork chop and fried taters.
Oh.
Did you have anything green?
No, it wasn't moldy.
Okay.
Yeah, green is usually a sign of disgustingness.
No, I was thinking about having some greens, but I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
Well, the pork chops were pre-cooked, so I just threw it on the grill and flipped it a couple times. And my taters were done already, and it's like, it'd take me another 5 minutes to make some veggies. I don't want to.
I mean,
potatoes close enough to a vegetable. I had some cottage cheese with it.
Is a vegetable.
Yeah, it is technically a vegetable, so there you go. Nothing green, but I did have taters. And cottage cheese. I like cottage cheese. All right. Moving on now. See you guys on the morning show, if not. Take care. Good night.
Bye.
Choo-cha.
I got molested in the little boy's room.